terrorism. There is no other way to describe it. Many may not believe it, but members of the family of some farmer abducted in Ekiti a few weeks ago will readily tell you the trauma they went through from the time of the ordeal. From the time of ordeal lasted in the hand of these bandits and terrorists. The fundamental duty of government anywhere in the world is protecting the life and property. Human beings cannot do without food every day. And the professionals who are primary duty to ensure that the land yields its fruits, seeds, crops, herbs for human use are called farmers. Therefore, for the head to bring forth grass, fruit, crops, and seeds, farmer must go to farmland to work. So it's the duty of the government to ensure that the atmosphere is conducive for farmers. In some climes, subsidy is even given to farmers because if there is any disruption in the farming and food chain, the risks affects may cause crisis in the land. That's why the contribution to economy in Nigeria's agricultural sector face many challenges, which impact on its productivity. In Yoruba land, most of our farmers still face these challenges, such as lack of access credit to boost their works, poor land tenure system, low level of irrigation farming, climate change, land degradation, poor road network, poor storage system, low use of mechanization, and others, which as sincere government could have solved for them. Despite this challenge, our farmers are still following the God-given mandate of providing food for the citizen. But now there's a clear and present danger driving farmer from farm, banditry, and terrorism. The Ekiti farmers I mentioned above were kidnapped in Ikosu, farm settlement in Ikosu, Ekiti, Mobile local government area. The incident came barely a week after a traditional ruler, Oba Benjamin Osho, the leader of Edaile in Ekiti East local government, was kidnapped. The abductors demand 20 million ransom. In the case of the four farmers and armed terrorists, demand 50 million ransom for them to be released. Mr. Olawumi Ayodich, manager of the farm, told this man in Ado Ekiti that the abductor called him and used the phone of one of the victims and demand for 15 million ransom. A few months ago, in the same Ekiti, two farmers who resisted being kidnapped in their farmlands were killed by terrorists. Governor Kayode Fayemi even visited the widows and members of the family. In June 2019, Dayo Adewale, the son of the immediate past health minister, Professor Isaac Adewale, was kidnapped on his farm in Oyo. He was later rescued. Dayo, a United Kingdom trained medical chemist, while narrating his ordeal, said he was forced to trek in the forest for 12 hours. So essentially, threats in Yoruba land is only against the rural farmers. It's only not against the rural farmers, but educated ones. Imagine the ordeal of Dayo, who was trained in London, but decided to open a farm at Iroku, a rural community in Akiele local government of Oyo State. In this age of internet, I don't think I want to bore you with several examples of farmer adopted in farm in Yoruba land, which I believe you know. But let me tell this audience that banditry is one of the major forms of insecurity affecting farm. Price of food have skyrocketed. In some part of Yoruba land, farmers were chased out of their farmlands, and the farmland was seized by these terrorists. Thank God for coming of Amateku, whose operatives are gradually succeeding in chasing away these terrorists. Instead of federal government to be deceived on this matter, Hadass clash is being highlighted. More than 90% of land in Yoruba land are capable of growing crops, and our God-given land is arable. We are not a landlocked territory. It is a land filled with milk and honey. God has really blessed Nigeria and Yoruba land, both in human and natural resources. We talented Nigeria can go abroad and showcase their talents and creativity. The challenge with the land's nature is that it's faced with geographical location. You can't move land anywhere. So the charisma and patriotism and creativity of human elements, leadership are needed to ensure when this happens that people will be happy. And I will just give you one example of where they are both work perfectly. The United States, US, is the largest net exporter of food contributed by the agricultural sectors. Due to mechanized farming, US is the leader in crop production and seed improvement. In 2019, it exported agricultural products worth of $118.3 billion. The landmass of 9.834 million kilometers, and the population is 329.5 million people. But I don't want to use America as an example to judge the leadership failure in Nigeria. Agricultural development because US is big in size and population. Let us look at the Niger Island. The population is 18 million people, not to the population of Lagos State. The land mass is 41,543 kilometers, less than 5% of Nigerian land mass. Since there is nothing like banditry in the Niger Island, this small country is a leader in efficient and sustainable agriculture, and the second largest exporter of agricultural goods in the world. It is main industry agriculture-related industry, oil, natural gas, metal, engineering products, electronic machineries, equipment, chemical, petroleum, construction, microelectronic, and fishing. It is one of the largest countries. As Miss Diary 2019, Niger Island export 94.5 billion worth of dollars of euros agricultural goods. That is 4.6% increase on the 90.8 2.4 billion euros export figures for 2018. But look at Nigeria. Our land mass is 923,768 kilometers, and 78% of the land mass is used for farming. Our population is said to be more than 200 million, with Yoruba population in the range of 60 million. So it can be argued that although Nigeria depends heavily on the oil industry for the budgetary revenue, our country is predominantly still an agricultural society. Approximately 70% of our population engaged in agricultural production at a subsistence level, and agricultural holding are generally small and scatters. But what do we get out of this gigantic landmass and population? If a small country like Netherlands could export 94.5 billion euros, about 56 trillion, more than 3 times annual budget worth of agricultural goods in 1 year, you can imagine that Nigerian and Yoruba are losing every year due to inefficiency of government to combat banditry and terrorism. Aside the monetary costs, what of the human life lost? Well, I think it's time for me to allow the speaker to shed more light on the topic from the international angle. But I strongly believe that if something is not done urgently about the menace, apart from the fact that it may eventually lead to food crisis, our people will rise against this establishment. May God continue to protect Yoruba against the surge of invaders, banditry, and terrorism. Thanks for listening. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Are Ibaganiadens. Thank you for that wonderful opening and welcome address, which was packed with a lot of information and data about the menace of banditry, or as we otherwise known as terrorism in Nigeria. If you're just joining us, you're welcome. You would observe that we are already in session and your microphones are muted. It's so that we can have a pleasant lecture today. That's why we have done that. At some point, we will grant question and answers, and you will be able to ask your questions and get response from the speakers. Thank you so much for your understanding. I'm going to call on the first lecturer for our first lecture today, and he will be taking us on the effect of banditry on Yoruba farming and farmers. Our guest speaker is a professor of the Department of History and Diplomatic Studies at Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agom. He is an erudite scholar, knowledgeable in international relations, and an expert of international community and association. Please welcome Dr. Adebowale Adeyemi Sueno.
Let's see how. Mr. Speaker, I'm going Hello? Yes. It's going in and out, Just Emma Sorolo, keep talking. Yes, much better. Okay. Mo kí yín o ẹ̀yin moderators wa gbogbo yín mo kí yín o nígbà tí Gani Adams láti fi lásù sílẹ̀ wọ́n ti ṣe tán tí àwọn àjẹpàdé ní Century Hotel láti gbà yẹn àgbàdo tó wà láwọn sí lecture tí wọ́n á tẹ̀lé bá lẹ́tọ̀ fún wọn ní ìṣòro ní ọdún náà lọ́wọ́ lórí ògùn àti ẹlẹ́gbàrà. Ẹ̀kẹta àti máa pàdé ìjọba bára wa sọ̀rọ̀. And I'm very happy. When I was called to deliver the lecture, I was so elated. I was so elated for several reasons. My elation came out of the fact that we are now intellectualizing our problems. And I remember very well that when I was with Professor Banji, I told Prof in the US, I said, Prof, greatest problem that we seem to have is that we don't intellectualize our problems. And therefore, because of this, we know who to speak on our behalf and what to say. Until we begin to intellectualize the problem and identify the core issues, then we begin to understand how we navigate this terrible water. I thank God, and I discovered Professor Ryan along this line yesterday around 11 p.m. that better people make this kind of discourse in the early years. Continue discussing, engaging issues, take the issues even away from this space to the north and discuss when they are holding their own meetings. Present our positions, convince them. Until we begin to do all these things, people will just think we're just shouting. In fact, I met with scholars from the north who have little understanding of our problems. They have little understanding of our problems. And these are scholars. How much more are the migrants from the north who just be armed with a gun and say, go and kill? Until we also speak to them in their language, they will not even understand what we're saying. Thank you. I have my paper here, and you will permit me the house to read my introduction. The paper is divided into 5 parts. The introduction is very necessary, and I don't want to miss out anything from it. I plead with Are and the moderator to allow me read this introduction, because other issues I'll be talking about actually rest on this introduction. And the reason why is that even those of us who call ourselves Yorubas do not really understand our past, the envious past of the Yorubas. Why the Yorubas should be so proud. Some of us do not even understand. And that's why when we bring about the concept of Oluwabi, I present a paper in the Badon then that there are deeper issues in the concept of Oluwabi that will just illustrate. Once you join these people, you are Oluwabi. Once you are our Feri, the concept is deeper and reflective. For us to understand what Oluwabi is, we also have to go back to the faculties and redefine it within the context of how our father relates with that particular issues. But forgive me, Aniba, I plead with you. I crave your indulgence to let me read it. Yoruba people are sub-Saharan Africans. They are sub-Saharan African ethnic group who inhabits West Africa and today mainly resides in Nigeria, Benin Republic, Togo, and several African and non-African countries. There is nowhere in the world you go that you will see in Nigeria. That you will see a Yoruba man. Nowhere you go all over the world that you don't see that. I'm an extensively traveled scholar. I know what I am talking about. I was even shocked when I read from Brenton when he said that apart from the original Americans, there are those who came and said that Yorubas actually constitute about 10% in the US. And this is funny. A professor told me in Indianapolis that, see, he asked me a question, what are Yorubas doing? I said, we are coming up, just wait. So it should be stated from the outset that in Africa, Yoruba are contiguous people who shares borders with several West African states. They are also known as greatest and prolific builders of empires and kingdoms. This is attested to by the several kingdoms and empires. With Yoruba ancestry. So many kingdoms and empires with Yoruba ancestry. Most of the kingdoms in Yoruba land and empires that were built in the pre-colonial time, you will never see any trace of external influences. They were built with local resources, and they were developed with local resources. So I continue by saying that the Oromios associations with the foundations of such in and outside present-day Nigeria also affirmed
and sustain the historical facts that Yoruba people are glorious nation builders, ardent and industrious traders, farmers, etc., with enviable political system which prevented the British colonial elite from introducing the northern and eastern archetypal political system. It was because of this structure that was very strong, what they introduced in the north and what colonialists introduced in the north and also in the east couldn't be introduced among the Yorubas in the southwest, because they had developed very solid political system and they are cosmopolitanists. So they know what they are talking about. It should be noted that Yoruba kings in the pre-colonial Nigeria were not only able men, they were also acclaimed warriors. They were acclaimed warriors who would declare wars, conquer territories, develop towns and villages that metamorphosed into modern cities. Most of the modern cities in Southwest today were created by those regions. In Nigeria. Sorry. Historical evidences on Alafia Abiodun explain his courageous control of the trans-Sahara trade routes and his relationship with Northern African monarchs and traders. He established his political authority and absolute control over his domain and the trade routes. To Agadis, to Stonge, to Algeria, right from Oyo was able to control the trade routes. Yoruba people cooperated with other groups in the colonial, with other groups. I'm coming. Sorry. With other groups in the colonial Nigeria. This was evident in the nature of accommodation and hospitality extended to groups who settled among the Yorubas. Similar settlements were found in Ketu, Lagos Island, Surulere, etc. Even they were found several places among the Yorubas. These were Hausa, Fulani settlement. The discourse here is that you could see the nature of the hospitality and accommodation of the Yoruba people. Now, colonial and post-colonial era witnessed the increase in the population of other groups in the southwest. In the southwest, even Yorubas from Ogbomoso, Oyo, Ibadan had settled in places such as Kaduna, Zaria, Kano, Jos, and other places. The fear of domination was evident in the pattern, structure, and focus of the political parties that participated in the power politics on the eve of Nigeria's independence in 1960. The ethnic orientation of the political parties, the identification and the political parties, identification of the political parties was not only to position the post-colonial Nigerian state as an inevitable participant in the ethnic and class politics that pervades Nigeria today. The struggle for power has obviously been seen to be synonymous with class oppression, decimation of opposition, land grabbing, ethnic domination, and other negative uses of state instrument of coercion. The interest of the ascendant ethnic group or class is stated. Once a class is stated, it is just stated against opposition, must either be to suppress or destroy the opposition. To sustain the process, new hands must be recruited. New hands must be recruited. New hands must be recruited. New hands must be recruited outside Nigeria, because the agitation from the northern part of Nigeria necessitated the following questions. First, do we truly have, questions were now being raised, do we truly have Hausa Fulani oligarchy in Nigeria, or Fulani oligarchy? Are the Fulanis part of Hausa ethnic group? Are the civilization of the Hausas the same with the Fulani orientations and civilization? The question underscores the following theoretical questions. Are the bandits truly foreign? Why are they so audacious to destroy farmlands and farming activities in Yoruba land with so much impunity? Also almost assisted and glaringly assisted by Nigerian state. Why, as Nigerian state and leadership appear helpless these and other questions inform partly the contemporary problems and challenges of nationhood and nation building in Nigeria. It also explains the dimension of the resistance of the Yoruba even before and now. Now I go back to the main issue. This is my introduction. What I'm saying is that Yorubas, right from inception, were very great people. They were known for farming. They were known for the Yorubas are known for hunting because of the climate and geography and where they settled. They covered the coastal environment down to the forest and share some part of the savannah land. These were basic climatic environment, very good for agriculture, farming, hunting, and what have you. These are people on the basis of this agriculture and trade. Yorubas built great empires, so much enviable that a Bentham, a British historian, was the one that said that Oromiyan was the greatest builder of nations. That Oromiyan alone built about 7 empires and kingdoms. Oyo, Bini, Nupe, only Oromiyan. He said no other race, no other king all over the world succeeded in building that. Now the question is that if Oromiyan did that in Yoruba, from Oyo king did that, it malfounded Oyo empire, now did that, what? Why should we now be looking and allow these very resources and this very enviable history of our past to be destroyed? We can't. We must do something. Now, I now go again to my second issue. That's what I'm saying. And then the Northerners, even the Northern scholars have been saying that these people, each time we talk about Hausa, Fulani oligarchy, there is nothing like Hausa, Fulani oligarchy. And that the issue was that you talk about Fulani oligarchy, that the Fulani came there, conquered them, submerged them, and that the true Hausas can't even see anything today. That those people who have been ruling are basically the Fulani stock. And this Fulani we knew came here with the jihad of Uthman and Fodio. And some of them came here through the post-militarization and trade. And through these Ghanaian, Quadria movements, they came into Nigeria and they started their trades, submerged a very great empire, destroyed civilization built by...
recording in progress.
Yeah, built in Zaria by Queen Amina, and the ones built in Kano. And if you go back to Kano, you see the ruins, of the city walls. And in fact, a true Nigerian, they are ashamed. We are simply lucky in this part in our party that we still keep some of our monuments. Now, farming, if Yorubas are farmers, basically farmers, and they have farmlands, and the development and everything came from the farming activities of the Yorubas. And today, we also know that you hardly see a Yoruba family without a farmland, except those who settled in Lagos. Even those who settled in Lagos still go back to the hinterlands to show that they are farmers, they are this. I am from Lagos Island, Isaleko. I know that my great-grandparents have boats for fishing, and that's hunting. So, that's hunting, which is part of our cultural activities. Now, the farmers that we're talking about, the bandits that we're talking about, we must define it very well. We must define the bandits very well. Like Iba said, that when we say bandit, we shouldn't just go elsewhere. They are terrorists. That's just a simple way to describe it, and I agree with Logonfe. The best way to describe it, but intellectually, we may begin to intellectualize because they said foreign bandits. We have said that the Fulanis are not Nigerians. They are not Nigerians. So if you're talking about foreign bandits, we also knew that some came from Mali into Nigeria and they were given residence, they were given permanent residence. They can move wherever they want to go. Some came from Niger Republic and the President Buhari said they can go. He imported them. He asked them to come. They came in and settled among us. And these people were simply herders. Now the question is that if you say those ones are foreigners, what about the Fulani who are also in Nigeria, who are also cattle rearers? Are they not foreigners? It means we are doing with double agents. We are doing with new ones. We are dealing with new ones, and also the foreign ones who are also within us, who control the structure of power and politics in Nigeria. It means we have serious task on our hands. It means that Yorubas seem to have serious task to face. Those ones internally who have lived there for centuries have discovered that there will be serious resistance, and they want to keep their old trade
of cattle rearing, taking cows there and there, which is outdated. They needed to bring those who are also outside. You can see the construction of train from Lagos to Mali, from Lagos to Nigeria Republic. When Nigerians are complaining, still complaining, it tempers a lot. But then what really concerns us about Yoruba land? Now, Yoruba land is a forest environment. And it has the best. Professor Makinde from Ogotun, Ekiti, did a work recently as to why the Fulanis would like to consistently be grazing in the southwest. He said there were so many herbs and leaves that were good for the survival of the cows and the rams. He said because of this man I'm talking is a botanist, he's a botanist. He said because of this, they were bent on making sure that those resources were used to build their own animals and then destroy the farmland because they could be gotten along the farm and along the farmlands. Now the question that arises is that if the Hausas, the herders, the bandits who came with their heads insisting that they must continue the open grazing system and they have to destroy the farms, it means they are toying with the heart of the soul and life of the Yorubas. It means they are toying with the lives and the souls of the Yorubas, who are basically farmers. And on the basis of this, several villages, like I have a question in my paper, in the full paper, which I will actually send out later to you, is that if you look at the Western region under Awolowo, all the development we saw were built on agricultural activities, agricultural produce. The core was actually agriculture. If you look at the documents of Awolowo on agriculture something, and the empowerment of the farmers that was to follow it, these were very, 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 very great. If they noted those things, even before the colonial time, before independence, and we also discover today that those things are instinctive. Hardly a place to go in Southwest South Africa, you see a very big, very massive cocoa farm. These people have destroyed it. They have done everything. And the farming system not only obstructed, not only that the farmers were being kidnapped and killed, not only that their wives were being raped and destroyed, the farmland itself seized and in some cases seized permanently. Let me give you a vivid example. If there is a big farmland when you leave Oru, Jebode, and you are coming to when you leave Oru, as if you are going to Jebode, a very massive farmland on the left, the Fulanis stays there. They are even selling foods on the road there. They simply refuse to leave that place, and nothing the governor of the state is doing about it. And you see very serious, massive agricultural activities going there. The farmers ran away. They went to Jebode to stay. Nothing is going on, and this is land. And if you go deeper, you will see houses built by our Yoruba farmers. And I learned that from that place, they got a lot of local rice, with which they feed Ijebugo. Even in the pre-colonial time, that's so much so that Ibadan people came to buy the rice. Now the rice is gone. And this is also very serious basis for industrialization. How do we export? Going by the indices given by Ibagani Adams, and those ones that also have in this paper. If we continue facing this, how do we sustain our land? And understand that land is a very serious thing to the Yoruba man. It's a very serious thing to the Yoruba man. Land, apart from the fact that we eat from the land, Yoruba man has what I simply refer to as spiritual attachment to land. All our gods are related to the land. And that's the sociology of land itself. Our gods are related to our land. Oshauko, Ogun. All these things are related. When you take our lands and destroy our lands, since our lands, how do we replace them? It means they are not only destroying the base of our economy, transformation and development, they are also trying to touch the soul of our spiritual existence, which we must say no to. Now, these foreign bandits invaded, and that's what I call the culpability, the culpability of the Nigerian state. And nothing is going on. Nothing seems to be going on. The government of Nigeria has not prosecuted a single header. None has been sent to jail for killing, maiming, and destruction of farms. None has been none. No one that I know as a reader, writer, and a scholar in that particular environment
None that I've seen. And if this is about the social existence and spiritual being of the Yoruba man, what then would Yoruba do? Yoruba as a people responded. And when people talk about Amotekun, I laugh. The resistance to this started way back when Ibagani Adams resisted the Hausas and the Fulani traders in Surulere and also Ketu, my 12. It started then. OPC saw this problem that time. OPC saw it. But instead of all of us, then Baba Obasanjo was the president. Instead of listening and agree, see what these people are saying, he refused to see what OPC saw. And that's why I said, when you say Amotekun, I said, historically, Amotekun has a linkage. The struggle to confront this problem started from somewhere. So if OPC started, if they had engaged them seriously, I think probably moving into the hinterland, moving into the forest, taking over our lands, destroying our farm, destroying our farmers and our parents would probably have been stopped. Maybe Nigerian state would have been able to reason with us long before now, but we simply refuse to do it. And now, these are the problems. I simply just imagine, I am sorry at this point, I have to say this. I'm simply just imagining the strength of Ibagani Adams. Another person will have said, see, I've been shouting about this for long, you did not listen to me, I don't want to say it again. But then, here is a true son of a Yoruba man. Here is a true son of the land, a true Yoruba man. Well, he can't do otherwise, he's a generalismo. That's what is expected of him anyway. He can't get tired. And that is that. Now, Yoruba's responses. We have agitation. We have agitated. Yoruba's agitated seriously. Confrontation that was engaged on. Political engagement was also engaged on. Conferences were attended by our people where they went to discuss. Even under Jonathan, they attended it. I discovered that Professor Bayori, my dear friend, was with Ibagani Adams at that very conference where they also put it in the front burner. The serious discussion on how to make sure the Yoruba environment is free. Now, but where is the document today? Now, the Nigerian state responded despite all these arguments, physical engagement, confrontations, agitations, and also global engagement. People travel far and wide all over the world. We have evidences in this paper at the level of UN, at mobilizing our Yorubas in the diaspora to talk and debate, submitted papers, submitted everything, mobilized the political leaders. But nothing. What we got as consequences was state repression, further invasion and destruction of the farms. And Yorubas were not to stop. When they saw that this thing was continuing, Yorubas simply asked for a republic. They said, now we want to do a republic. And in fact, Ipewu la ma ṣe fún ẹni tí ìkòkò pa ìyá ẹ̀. Tóyìn rújọ́ ti bàbá. Ìkòkò tó wọlé ó pa màmá ẹ̀. The only thing Nico no mú àdá pé ìkòkò yìí máa pa ẹ́. And that's what Yorubas are now talking about. But then, we ask a question. If you take this road, how feasible? If you take this road of absolute confrontation, how feasible? Within a particular enclave for Nigeria, the government expression for Nigeria, that is not only outdated constitutionally, is also a participant in the struggle. Nigerian statistics is in the hands of those ethnic groups. And those ethnic groups are bringing their families from outside Nigeria. That's why they are foreigners in Nigeria. They are also bringing their people. Also, one of them, and one Hausa man done something, went to build a university, a big university in the Nigeria Republic. And he couldn't build such a thing in Kano. He couldn't even build it in there. It means they also went to bring their people, knowing that the only place for them to get is Yoruba land. Given the resources, given the nature of the soil, given the nature of the soil, given the nature of the herbs and the leaves and the trees, they wanted to protect it by all means. If you have done very well, sir, from Imota down, you will see Fulani, where they have so many land, and they are also into agriculture, using our land and upstaging our people. Those lands belong to our people, but our people ran away and went as far as a Muslim, the Muslim. And people are there, they ran away. And the state government is not addressing that issue. It's pathetic. Very, very pathetic. And we have the question. If you say, we are living completely now, what came to my mind, which I've also presented elsewhere, is that this is an outdated Nigeria, constitutionally. This is a country that must be renegotiated. I think what you'll be asking for is about how to renegotiate it. If we have to stay, we are going to renegotiate. How do we renegotiate? We go back to the drawing table, the old document of the action group, and the one embraced by Papa Awolowo and others, on how to develop our region. Develop power and let the Southwest be independent economically, socially. Let us address our issues on our own. Let us also see the way we harness our resources together and also give ourselves the embark on the regenerative processes of our identity, because Yoruba man seems to have lost his identity and we are losing it seriously. We are losing it seriously, and we need a lot of social regeneration so that we can also get our, so that a Yoruba son, a Yoruba daughter will have at the back of his or her mind that, look, defending the land of his forefather is a must and it's a duty. Because it is sad these days when you see a Yoruba son will tell you, what do I have to say? I just need to finish this, my first degree in the university, I just go elsewhere. It's none of my problem. It is not so. We should. And that's why what we teach our children in our universities and secondary school, in the Yoruba land, we must make sure that it is incorporated. It's so sad that in the past, they don't even allow the teaching of Yoruba in some of our schools. It was not until recently, about a year or two, when Ibadan and others submitted their document at the Lagos State House of Assembly on the need to get Yorubas back. And that Yoruba studies back. And if you still go back to our schools, you see out of 100, maybe only 2, 3, 4 will be in the class of Yoruba. Alawiye, Baodu Joda, we all read. That gave us wisdom. Our children are longer reading those things. Most of the books are going to extinctions, and we can't allow this to happen. Like I said, how feasible the outcry for Yoruba Republic? How feasible in a Nigeria, in a Nigeria that we see, in a Nigeria with this kind of a structure, in an outdated Nigeria, the question that came to my mind again was that, who do we negotiate with? Do we negotiate our freedom with an avowed enemy? Do we negotiate our freedom with a group that wanted us to extinct, that is looking for extinction? Do we negotiate our freedom and existence with a group of bandits who are basically foreigners, who are also invading our own God-given ancestral land? Do we negotiate our freedom with those who are killing our brothers and taking it with the farms? Do we negotiate our freedom with people who insist that those who have risen up to agitate must be destroyed by all means? These are the central questions that we must keep engaging and interrogating until we resolve all these things. Like I said, if we say, when we are going is enough, fine. Yorubas can say that because we've seen enough. But what do we have on ground? What do we have on ground? And that's why I said a lot of lectures must go on. Meeting must go on. And our fathers must continue to also meet with other groups. We don't need no Yoruba group. We have so many groups in Yoruba land who are Yorubas. We should use them for their importance. Those who are in the public should understand, let them understand that, look, you are a Yoruba man. This man, Fulani, is killing your people. We must use every individual where and when it is necessary. We should play policies of inclusiveness. Bring every Yoruba man and woman together. See how we can resolve our problem. And use individual where that person is meaningful. And I told Baba, I can tell you this when we met. I said, Baba, most people around you were not being properly used. And we may likely run into problems. I also asked him, I also told him, in your Ibadan here, I said, Baba, you need to tell, it was at a program. I said, you need to tell Igbo to be careful the way he talks. That we have been in this struggle right from our days in hands, and we're still there. That the way he's talking, it's going to be like a fish out of water. That will be like a fish out of water. Because those who should have sympathy and empathize with the situation are now being called names. And if the guy is an agitator, fine, a Yoruba man, I'm very proud of him. And I know everyone here to be proud of him. But strategically his effort was not being employed and harnessed. And we need such person, and we need to employ him, use what he has for the advancement of Yoruba strategically, which we did not do. And I pointed it to Baba, and I think my email to him last month also reflected that. I told him in my email to him that, Baba, I told you this, that this guy, what he's doing is fine, good, but the strategy may be wrong, and we are also not helping in any way. Now, I move into my conclusion. I said my conclusion that now that we have seen that Yorubas are very proud people who have built empires, who have built kingdoms, who have also controlled trade routes, who are also into agriculture by the nature of geography, those who have ancestral attachment, who have spiritual attachment to land, are now being attacked. Their wives killed, their lands taken away. The Fulani who are in the north are historically foreigners. And now their foreign counterparts are now being brought into Nigeria to assist those who are already foreigners. So we have two foreigners now. Those who have been here time immemorial and the new ones brought in, who are taking over our land. And like I said, Makinde told us the importance of the earth and leave to their animals and why they will not want to go. And we have a government that is not talking. We have a government that seems to be culpable. Not even seems that is culpable. We have a nation. We have a nation state with his instrument of coercion supporting them. None. I said none today has been found guilty and sentenced to jail. Even rather, we are hearing once they repent, they will give them forgiveness and be trained and be reabsorbed. Who are we forgiving? Foreigners who came from elsewhere to destroy lands of other people that you collectively agree to live together in Nigeria, even if it is outdated, if the agreement must be negotiated. At least that whole structure must be protected. Now I now have this as my conclusion. We must continue to engage in serious intellectual engagement. We must continue serious intellectual engagement. We must take our debates, every nooks and corners of the world. We must also take our debates on this, even to the classroom, secondary school. We must teach our children the values. We must tell them the problem. And one of the strengths of the American university is that they teach American history to their children, irrespective of the discipline. They teach American history. So they are very proud. They know the history. But we should teach our children our history. We should understand them, how we find ourselves in this quadrant, how we find ourselves in this problem, and the way our fathers have done it in the past, and the way we feel it should be done now. We should continue. And we should also take it back to them in the north and everywhere. We should take them and discuss it. At the level of ECOWAS, at the level of AU, we must continue presenting our position. And may God give you, our fathers, enough wisdom, strength, and good health. Then we must return to the old wisdom. The old wisdom of the Awolowo. When I read the Words of the Sage, there's a book, The Sage, a document like this by him. He titled it He said, once they destroy our lands, they are telling us to be poor. They are telling us to be poor. What's the percentage of Yorubas living in the cities? If you go back to the villages, you see our parents. You see the percentage. So when they take over their lands, destroy their farmlands, destroy them, what happens to us as a group, and I also said that we have spiritual attachment. We have spiritual attachment to lands. Yorubas and land, they are inseparable. Yorubas and the two are inseparable. And they are saying that we have to be separated. Not only that we will kill our land, we will be expropriated. Now we must begin to institutionalize the industrial process. We must begin to internalize. Our farmers must be mechanized and also armed. Our farming must be highly mechanized, and our farmers must be also armed in several areas, which I think you, my fathers, know better. We must continue building inevitable developmental structures. Those were the things I will always did that time. Cocoa House in Ibadan. Most of the development in the Western region by then, they got the money from agricultural activities. And we probably would have even transformed if that continued uninterrupted. And here we are today. The farmers that produce those things, they are still sustaining the economy, are now being destroyed. Farming, the farmland taken away from them. They are being killed. Farmers now, stop. Farming, not going again. These are the challenges we have. And I said empowerment. We must also empower ourselves and also empower the farmers. We must empower the farmers seriously. We must not just be scholars in the town. We must also take our discussions, our activities back to them in the villages. We must engage them in town discussions. We must engage them in town discussions. We must engage them even in their homes and let them understand that we are the same thing. It is our duty to stop all these problems. And that without this problem, their own children also will not be able to land, and our land will have been lost to foreigners who are basically bandits. Then we should look inward to resolve internal contradictions. We have to look inward to resolve a lot of internal contradictions. We seem to have a lot of internal contradictions. We are talking about how do we solve problems? How do we take our land? How would we stop this from killing our fathers who are farmers, from raping our mothers, from taking our land from us? And you see a Yoruba man. You will see a Yoruba man, a very popular Yoruba who will say that, who are the bandits they are talking about? Can you see them? Don't you have Yoruba bandits? Don't you have Yoruba kidnappers? This is absurd. And that's why you say we have our own internal contradiction that we must seriously look into. And this contradiction means that we must be focused. We must get focused, resolve fundamental problems internally with the aim to move forward. And this contradiction that we also have to look into is that we must begin to go back to our villages and serious farmlands and begin to get the specimen of the crops. So that, because we are losing some of them now. We are losing some of them, specimen of the crop, and begin to do transplantations. Big land transplantation for eventual outcome of our agitation. Because we can't build something or nothing. We cannot build something or nothing. We have to begin to do this. We have to begin to empower people, begin to expand, get something. Because when I read about Singapore, I was shocked how they collected crops. I also collected Nigeria. And see Singapore today. See Singapore. We now go back to them. Now, people that got seedlings from us, we are now begging them to give us. And we are asked our own farmers. In the pre-colonial time, we were not begging. In the colonial era, our Yorubas don't beg. Yorubas even frown at begging. We don't beg. We don't go capping and begging for food. And that's why Yorubas say that until it means these people are very proud people, and these bandits are taking over the land. We are not seeing it. We are only seeing the short time and immediate long term. We are not seeing the far long term, which will mean the total eradication of the image and personality of a Yoruba man. Thanks for inviting me. I am grateful, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for a wonderful and interesting lecture. We do really appreciate taking us down the lane through history and the geography of our land and giving us a very deep knowledge of who we are as Yorubas. We really appreciate that. And I know a lot of people are spoiling to ask questions. I can see hands going up already because you have evoked fire in people right now. And I want everybody to know that when you ask your questions, please, there is no need for greetings anymore. Please go straight to the question as you have just 1 minute. If you can do it in less than 1 minute, we appreciate it. And your answers will not be asked. We will not provide answer one. We will do like 2 or 3 questions, and then we will let the speaker answer them together. Thank you so much. I call on the first person is Captain Jelly. Captain Jelly is number 1 that has his hand up all this while. I see number 2 would be Asiwaju Kayode. Number 3 would be Johnson Adetayo. Number 3 would be Agbara Asha. Please know your number, note yourself down so that we can move forward in the question. All right, please unmute Captain Jelly. Captain Jelly, have you been unmuted?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Less than 1 minute.
Okay. My first question is to our guest. Mo kàn fẹ́ gbà wá ní nípa irú conference báyìí pé we are Yoruba and we need to promote our culture, our language. And we like to fún láti máa sọ Yorùbá pẹ̀lú irú conference báyìí. If the foreigner say àwọn tí ẹlòmíì bá wà lórí tó yẹ pé Yorùbá kìíní ni wá. Yorùbá la gbọ́dọ̀ máa sọ because Japan ta wà yìí táwọn Yorùbá táwọn Igbo bá ń ṣe nǹkan they don't care about any other tribe. Igbo language náà máa sọ jẹ́ pé ìwọ tó wà ń bẹ̀ gan ò ní lè understand nǹkan sọ. Mo kàn wà láníyànjú pé irú conference báyìí Yorùbá ni ká máa sọ ká máa gbé èdè wa lárugẹ. And then mo tún fẹ́ bẹ̀ my second question go to Ìbà Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò. Ẹjọ́ nípa àwọn bandits yìí bóyá I don't know n tí as a leader of the warrior tẹ́ bá lè ṣe bóyá kẹ̀kan lè kí fún kẹ̀kan fún wa ní àlàyé díẹ̀ lórí ní tí a kẹ̀ lè ṣe lórí àwọn wèrè àwọn olùsìn tó ń ba ilẹ̀ wa jẹ́ yìí. That's my question.
Thank you very much, sir. Noted. The next person is Ashiwaju Kayode. Unmute Ashiwaju Kayode, please.
Hello.
Can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Please make it less than 1 minute.
Okay, I'll try as much as I can.
Yes.
I very much appreciate the length and breadth of the discussion. Something tickled me in the expose of the erudite scholar, and which I will want to ask more. Maybe it might be during this interaction or for subsequent interaction. I want to know much if we can bring out the land use decree of our the Western region, because in the expose, why these people are encroaching on our lands, farmlands, is because one way or the other, what we add in the Western region is because the land use decree has been altered, and we find out that now we are creating many mushroom kingdom and all those that give them veto power. You understand me? To some people to bastardize the use of our land. That is why you find that this is a loophole that these people are actually using to encroach on our land. So I will want a situation whereby if we can have maybe any other day or right now the speaker can really touch on that. If you have any knowledge about that.
Okay, sir.
So, yes, sir.
Noted. I think we can take one more so that we can group everything together. Johnson Adetayo. Go ahead, Johnson Adetayo, go ahead.
Yeah, ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Nǹkan tí mo kàn fẹ́ béèrè ni pé a ní àwọn yunifásítì nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ǹjẹ́ a ní gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí in a written document? Irú Ìjẹ̀bú Òde, oko mélòó ni wọ́n ti acquire? Àwọn Hausa Fúlàní mélòó ló wà ń bẹ̀? Lẹ́kìtì, ǹjẹ́ a ní statistics tí ó lè fi hàn wá nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá? Number 2, wọ́n ń gba àwọn oko wa o. À ń gbọ́ bandit and all that. Bẹ́ẹ̀ táwọn ìlú gan alára ń kọ́. Mo lọ sí Nàìjíríà láìpẹ́ yìí, Mushin ni mo wà. Gbogbo wọn tí mò ń gbọ́, bí kéèyàn máa sunkún ni, kì í ṣe kó nìkan ní àwọn èèyàn yìí ń gbà. Gbogbo ìlú gan náà ń gbà mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́. So we need facts and figures láti mọ irú nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa. Ìyẹn ló máa lè mú wa láti plan nǹkan tá a máa ṣe effectively.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll address these 3 questions. We'll give the space to to the first speaker first to address, and I think Aaron may want to add few answers to it. So, first speaker, the first question is, what is the solution to banditry? And Yoruba in lectures like this. Another question is, can we use the land degree to solve this problem, as the case may be? And the other question, the last question is, do we have documentation of what is going on and statistics in Nigerian universities? One second, sir.
Well, I think the second and the last question will go to the guest lecturer. The first question about the banditry in Yoruba land, I will handle that. Well, I think we have tried our best to reduce the issue of insecurity in Yoruba land by supporting the Southwest governor to establish Amotekun. He reflected in my speech. 70% of the cadets in Amotekun are OPC members. I'm very glad that the speaker is so conversant of what happened in Yoruba land. And they know the antecedent of OPC, apart from the ethnic issue crisis, what OPC have been seeing for a long time. And I was the one that wrote letters to the Southwest governor 3 months after I was installed as the Area of Yoruba land, that there's a need for security summit, and which I gave them a lot of pressure. I wrote them letters and traditional rulers. Later, I wrote a reminder, and when they refused to yield to my request, I went to the media for different interviews to make sure that they hold that summit. And they hold that summit. The summit was held in 2019, and that was what gave birth to Amotekun. And we do respect to the governor. 5 governors have already established Amotekun. About 70% of the cadets recruited to that Amotekun, they are OPC members, led by ours. But apart from that, I take the next move by make sure that all the relevant private security organizations in Yoruba land, I brought them together as a coalition. We call it Southwest Security Stakeholder Group. OPC, the 2 hunter groups in Yoruba land, the 2 Agbekoya in Yoruba land, and the two vigilantes in Yoruba land, Shedale Udwa and Comsat. We brought them together. We normally hold a meeting. We wrote a letter to all the traditional rulers that if there's any threat in your community, kindly engage this group to support Amotekun in your own jurisdiction. And majorly people don't know. Most of the breakthrough on criminal issues in community and local government was as a result of support of OPC group in that community and that local government. Majority of the police that succeeded in crime fighters in their local government, with the cooperation of OPC, a lot of things happened that was not even revealed in the media. But we are so handicapped to have 100%, 99% of success because of the federal government and our state government are trying to pacify federal government. That they don't want to offend the federal government. So the little we are doing it strategically and systematically so that our environment can see it. Basically, out of the 6 geopolitical zone in Nigeria, now the most fairly looking region on security is Southwest. Tí a bá wo gbogbo region ta ní Nigeria, ibi tó dà tó ṣèbí díẹ̀ báyìí náà ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá nítorí pé àtàkẹ́dù. But then tí o bá ń gbọ́ kankan akọ máa pariwo kí làárẹ̀ ṣe, ó dẹ̀ níbi tí agbára rẹ̀ mọ ààrẹ òde ìsìn kì í ṣe ààrẹ àtijọ́, ó níbi tí agbára ààrẹ òde ìsìn mọ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ security. Tí o bá tẹ̀lé agbára tó a bá fẹ́ ṣe, tá a bá ní convention governor, local government chairman àti ọba ìlú bí ọ̀rọ̀ tí ẹni tó náà wà ní arákùnrin tó sọ̀rọ̀ tó lọ pé òun wà ní Mushin tó ń gbọ́ tí ọba ìlú ò bá cooperate pẹ̀lú ẹ tó bá lọ wọ̀lú ẹ̀ tó fẹ́ fish out a criminal you be in trouble tí local government chairman níbẹ̀ ò bá cooperate pẹ̀lú ẹ tó bá ní o fẹ́ involve security you be in trouble not talking of even the governor and the commissioner of police so ibi tí ní ẹ ti ṣòro nìyẹn but gbogbo ọgbọ́n tá a lè dá ni pé àmẹ́sọ̀ àjà fún àmọ̀tẹ́kùn tó fìdí múlẹ̀ àdẹ̀mẹ́sọ̀ wípé àwọn private group yẹn àkótì wọn ní gbogbo ìlú láti give support ẹnìkan sọ̀rọ̀ wípé ó yẹ ká máa lọ Yorùbá láti ṣe conference báyìí conference tá à ń ṣe yìí a máa mix ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ra wọn ní Yorùbá àti òyìnbó làwọn mix torí pé nǹkan tá à ń ṣe ó go beyond platform tá a wà yìí tá a bá ti parí ẹ̀ tán á jù sí media community. Ti mọ ìwọ̀nba tá àgbáyé òwe torí pé wọ́n lè má gbọ́ Yorùbá ṣùgbọ́n a lè máa fi Yorùbá bára wa sọ̀rọ̀ bàbá kà lóyìnbó àwọn ìbá rí pé biggest lecturer ẹ ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ ó ń fi Yorùbá sí èmi náà rẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tọ́mọ máa béèrè ìbéèrè lọ́wọ́ mi a máa sọ Yorùbá so irú àpéjọ báyìí conference láti a ní láti máa miss gbogbo ẹ̀ tá a bá wá débi tá à ń lọ lọ́jọ́ iwájú tá a bá fìdí múlẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè dájú mọ̀ pé ìgbà yẹn la máa sọ pé nǹkan báyìí la fẹ́ bọ̀ tẹ̀ nísìnyí ẹni tó bá máa mọ̀bọ̀ á ṣe bí ọ̀bọ and then ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ àtàbí sínú ìbò mélòó ló gbọ́ Yorùbá náà irú nǹkan báyìí tó bá ní opportunity tó bá ń jiwò lọ́dọ̀ àwọn òbí wọn tẹ́ bá ń sọ Yorùbá tó wọn bá gbọ́ nǹkan tá à ń sọ nílé yé wọn but tó bá yá díẹ̀díẹ̀ ni ó ní nǹkan tó òyìnbó ṣe tán fi mú wa lóko ẹrú tá a bá fẹ́ bọ́ lóko ẹrú yẹn díẹ̀díẹ̀ náà la máa bá àkọlẹ̀ bọ́ jìgì bẹ́yẹn ẹni tó bá náà fẹ́ bọ́ jìgì bẹ́yẹn ó ń tọrọ ẹ̀jẹ̀ ní so nǹkan tá à ń ṣe yìí a máa sọ òyìnbó a máa sọ Yorùbá ni ìgbà míì guest lecturer tó bá débì kan á sọ Yorùbá ètè mi kànú àdàkọ tèmi ni pé mo fi welcome ní just pé ká lè set agenda ibi tá à ń lọ so ló fi jẹ́ pé òyìnbó ni gbogbo ẹ̀ mo ti mọ̀ pé tá a bá fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ a máa sọ Yorùbá a máa sọ Yorùbá máa mí ìsẹ̀mọ́ra wọn. So the two questions should be for the guest lecturer so that they can play his own role in this conference.
Thank you so much, Are. Guest lecturer number one, please can you address the issue of initially low land use degree in this type of situation pẹ̀lú àwọn tí wọ́n kàn pẹ̀lú gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n kàn bọ́ sórí ilẹ̀ onílẹ̀ àwọn farmland and all that. And then the other question is ṣé data wà ṣé document wà ní Nigerian universities tó ń capture gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí for future reference. Ẹ bá wọn mute guest speaker.
Ẹ ṣe mo dúpẹ́ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí káàkiri tó ń gba tí ọ̀rọ̀ land use degree wà o land use degree wà o land use degree tó wà there is the colonial one we have colonial land use degree which defines so many things land use degree yẹn kò fàyè gba open grazing no then but this land use degree because àwọn èèyàn ti wá wọ́n ti sùn pé most of those clauses wọ́n ti yọ ó wà o wọ́n ti tọ́ ẹ pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ I have a full copy of it tí mo ti kà now there was a Supreme Court judgment in early 80s and there was another one in the 90s which when Supreme Court judges declared unanimously against open grazing and again modernization go for how do you have a law to conform with modernity bala ma ṣe lófin tó ẹ pé òfin yẹn òfin tí ó bá ìgbà mu kò sí lùtàmádé tó ń kó ẹran káàkiri tì mọ́ à ń rí ó ti wá jẹ́ bí ifá ó ti ẹ̀tì ní lójú ní Ìkòròdú ẹ máa rí mọ́là kó máa kó ẹran káàkiri ní Sábó mọ́rún nǹkan máa kó ẹran ní Sábó kó máa kó ẹran ní títì Sábó wọ́n ń gbé lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ sọ́nà iwájú yunifásitì iwájú polytechnic ní act of modernization tí ò bá tiẹ̀ sófin tí ó bójúmu ni tàbátẹ̀ ní kò sófin ṣáà dẹ̀mọ́ tó bójúmu mọ́ ni àmọ́ tó bójú mu decree wa Supreme Court judgment wa méjì in the 70s and the 80s to forbid it. And most of these things, aside the Supreme Court judges, the decrees one be, àwọn decrees one be, but wọ́n ti gé. Tẹ́ bá lọ wo àwọn several acts and documents of the action group tó lò ní Western region. Àwọn èyí wà wọ́n rí tó ìpẹ̀lú. Àwọn èyí wà wọ́n dẹ̀ wà ní archives Ìbàdàn tí wọ́n rí tó ìpẹ̀lú. Ẹgbẹ́ ńgbà yẹn wọ́n ti ń ṣe kí ló ń gbórúkọ modern farming system. Àwọn màálù ogun wọ́n ti ń kó wọn síbi tó ti ń tọ́jú wọn tó ń rìn kiri mọ́. Wọ́n ti ń ṣe ńgbà yẹn àfi máa ń lè ṣe kó wà láwọn tó kó wá bá wọn tó ń gbà lónílẹ̀. Àwọn àbá yẹn mọ̀ pé oko kaṣú lóko kaṣú, oko kòkó lóko kòkó. Wọn ò ní jẹ́ kẹ́ran lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n ti mọ̀ nígbà Western region ó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ dáadáa. Ó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ dáadáa tẹ́gbẹ́ bá lọ síbẹ̀ rí àwọn tó ti ń ṣe àwọn ẹran wọn tó ń ṣe gbẹ if you still travel between Ìkẹ́lẹ́ to Ìṣàgámù that express if you are going to Ìbàdàn ẹ máa rí àwọn old child yẹn tó ti àbàdàn tó ń tọ́jú ẹran bẹ́ẹ̀ nígbà Western region. Ẹ rí àwọn títì táwọn bàbá yẹn kọ́ àwọn títì tó kọ́ àwọn títì tó wọnú ilé tó wọnú oko lọ níbi tó ti fi tọ́jú ẹran tó ti ń gbé báàgì àwọn títì yẹn. Òfin wà and then university rẹ̀ káwá dáhùn another lecture. Kẹ́rí university wa ọlọ́run kò ṣàlùyẹ̀ iṣẹ́ wà tàbáṣe. Wọ́n tàbáṣe irú èmi ń sìn area mi international relations but area mi gan is about war strategic politics warfare but mo take interest seriously in African issues especially history and development of Yoruba race of Yorubas to which are published not less than 24 papers on Yorubas because bí èlé máa sọ pé mo ń ṣe yẹ fún promotion ní ilé lábọ̀ sí mi oko bí èlé ní mo ń kọ́ ń pawọ́ ń pa kíní kan ìtì àwọn èèyàn mi ń kọ́ àdèmọ̀ pé death of literature wà àwọn èèyàn mi sí àwọn ìṣẹ̀bá ìkọ́ mo rí ìwé kan ṣùgbọ́n ìdìbò time ọmọkàn ti bí kíní kan development ní mo mẹ́tò tó kọ́ ẹ bá rí nǹkan tó mọ̀ ẹ́ ń sọ nípa a very close ìlú bí nítorí bí mo pé nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ wà lẹ́nu ìdìbò colonial era tí dúpọ̀ náà báyìí fi develop náà nìyẹn ìwé tó kọ́ phd thesis ní òun ló win the grant òun ló win the grant recently from Sobelo tí ẹ fún 500,000 àti kó develop more in certain area of the country nípa document wa àmọ́ àwọn tá a ti rí kó but àwọn tẹ́fàlọ́wọ́ àbá wo àwọn document àwọn bàbá yẹn nígbà regional government yẹn tí wọ́n lóyè pé the documents of the colonial kini discover pé tó ń fi sí conscience wa tó wá ń lò sí wọ́n ti doctor ẹ̀ lógun ọ̀fẹ́ tó ń lọ sí conference àwọn náà mọ̀ wọ́n ti doctor so many documents wọ́n mọ̀ ìyẹn ló mú wọn bínú gbà yẹn wọ́n mọ̀ wọ́n document cause wọ́n mọ̀ ìyẹn ló wà náà bínú gbà yẹn lọ́hùn wọ́n doctor but ó wà dáadáa tó sì yẹ pé a lè rí wọn ní aláwọn documents yẹn written but gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n ní ṣe handwritten documents tí alàgbà Johnson Adétayọ̀ béèrè we have documents by few of us who are doing researches in that area who are also documenting. We are daily documenting and I can send few of my, even virtually all my documents, what I've documented, including pictures that I've taken in those areas. Because eléyìí ilé nǹkan ọ̀rọ̀ ara wa là ń sọ yìí mi kì í ṣe Ìgbò mi sì ń ṣe Fúlàní mi sì ń ṣe ọmọ òyìnbó ebi Yorùbá ni mí nǹkan yìí gbọ́dọ̀ ta gbogbo wa lára nítorí ìtara yẹn àpò mẹ́ta tá máa ń ṣiṣẹ́ ìta máa ń document tá máa ń ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ wò tẹ́ bá fẹ́ wá rí nǹkan tó fọ́ ni iwájú yunifásitì Ọlábísí Ọ̀nàbànjọ yunifásitì níwájú yunifásitì báyìí máa lọ sí ilé kábíyèsí ẹ̀rí mọ́là Fúlàní ó ń da màálù gbogbo kó lọ́wọ́ òkólókó lọ́wọ́ ń bẹ̀ ní lọ síwájú ilé kábíyèsí. In fact, we have written a letter to kábíyèsí káfẹ́ àfẹ́ rí wọn but we are very sure pé tó máa di January bí wọ́n reply letter wa àmẹ́ta yẹn wọ́n tún bá ti kábíyèsí pé kábíyèsí ẹ̀wù ní yóò bójú mu a rí màálù tó fẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ kékeré ọmọ yẹn ń sọdá ogún pákírù ó fẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ ń ṣe gàrí màálù fẹ́ kọlù àwa la sọ òkú ní màálù àwa la kó òkú lẹ̀ níwájú kábíyèsí ẹni máa gbà lọ́nà máa lọ.
Yeah, I can take more questions because many hands are popping up so that we can round up us with that. The next person, Agbara Asha. Is the next person. After that is Mr. Shola. Then after Mr. Shola, Mr. Festus. Please unmute Agbara.
Okay, Bobuleo.
Ẹjọ́ tó wá ṣe ní ṣókí.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, a kú àpérò. So inú mi dùn láti darapọ̀ mọ́ conference yìí àti àwọn nǹkan tá a gbọ́ rí tá a ti gbọ́ lẹ́nu guest lecturer wa àti tí ààrẹ náà ti sọ àti àwọn pátá rẹ̀ tí kó táwọn agan ọmọ tá a tún gbọ́ lẹ́nu wọn rọ̀lẹ́. Nǹkan tèmi fẹ́ béèrè ni pé mo jẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí adarí kan nínú àwọn tó jẹ́ union ní Nàìjíríà. So wọ́n dẹ̀ máa ń invite wa tó bá ti jẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ financial institution gbogbo àwọn financial institution máa ń invite wọn wá pé kán wá bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ pé àwọn owó tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ti làálẹ̀ tó fẹ́ fún àwọn èèyàn. So and kíní bíi pé èmi wá láti south west a máa láwọn colleague wa náà tó wá láti north káàkiri gbogbo Nàìjíríà láti máa ń pàdé mẹ́. Bọ̀wọ́ wá ṣe ní láàánú pé inú àwọn tó jẹ́ àgbẹ̀ iye tí àwọn èèyàn bá ń sọ àwọn nǹkan táwọn ti gbà tó tẹ̀lé pẹ́ lómi tó yẹ pé oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ ni tó yẹ pé òun náà sọ pé òun lóko tá bá ń gbọ́ iye tán náà ti fún wọn nílò ní north gbogbo kí ni a kì í gbọ́n bì báyìí because èmi fẹ́ bèrè ní o pé tó bá jẹ́ pé gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ọba invest sórí ọ̀rọ̀ agriculture lọ́dọ̀ tiwa náà bì báyìí gẹ́gẹ́ bọ́ ṣe ń ṣe ní north I'm very sure pé wọn ò ní fẹ́ jẹ́ kí bandits máa invade àbí kí àwọn Fúlàní máa waste nǹkan ó dà pé kíní yẹn mo fẹ́ bèrè pé ṣé wọ́n mọ̀ ṣe ni àbí àwọn adarí tiwa bì báyìí owó tó yẹ kó fún àwọn àgbẹ̀ àwọn ni wọn ò fún wọn because ikọ́ táwọn yẹn máa ń sọ pé àwọn gbà ibùkọ́ tó fi máa wọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ ẹ máa gbọ́ pọ́n fún 150 million.
Ok, ẹ ṣe kan sọ.
Mi ò tí ì parí question mi o.
Very question ẹ make statement ni questions la need right now.
Òun náà mo ń bẹ question ni nǹkan tẹ̀mí ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ guest lecturer ni pé ṣé kíní iṣan mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ ṣe ni àbí bọ́ ṣe design Nàìjíríà ni kó jẹ́ pé àwọn tó wà níbẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n máa ní access sí loan láwọn tó jẹ́ àgbẹ̀ wọn because ìkọ́sọ́nù wọn pé wọ́n fún un ní 100 million wípé àwọn bandit tó jẹ́ kóun ṣiṣẹ́ wọ́n máa ní láti fún un lówó mi before kóun tó lè dáwó yẹn padà àwọn àgbẹ̀ tí wọn ò ní irú opportunity yẹn báyìí tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì bá invest sí agriculture ní south west I'm very sure pé wọ́n á lè protect ẹ̀ nǹkan tí question mi ń dáre lórí nìyẹn pé ṣé wọ́n mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ ṣe ṣáwọn leader wọn mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ ṣe ń bí ni àbí wọ́n ṣe design Nàìjíríà nìyẹn.
Ẹ jẹ́ ká fún speaker ní chance láti ọ̀sẹ̀ ẹ ṣe gan-an. I call on Mr. Shola. Quick question, please, 30 seconds. Questions or your statement, 30 seconds. Please unmute here. Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah,
quick, 30 seconds.
Yeah, question mi kò ní pọ̀. Mo fẹ́ bèrè question yìí pé bí lógun ọ̀fẹ́ Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò bí wọ́n ti ń tiraka tó ń try pé everything kan wà okay fún Yorùbá land. Ẹ jọ ṣé àwọn politicians wa for example irú àwọn bàbá wa OBJ Ọbásanjọ́ ṣé wọ́n mọ̀ yìí pé ó ti wà lákọọ́lẹ̀ yìí pé àwọn Fúlàní bàbá àwọn Fúlàní sọ pé kán lọ fi idà sí inú òkun ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ṣé wọ́n mọ̀ yìí pé wọ́n ń lò wá wọ́n dẹ̀ ń gba ilẹ̀ wa ní orúkọ one nation ṣé wọ́n mọ̀ yìí pé wọ́n fẹ́ kó Yorùbá lẹ́rú àbí àwa nìkan la mọ̀ àbí àwọn bàbá wa Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò nìkan ni a mọ̀ àwa tá à ń jíjẹ́ fún Yorùbá nation la mọ̀ wípé agenda àwọn Fúlàní lélẹ̀ ṣé àwọn bàbá wa tó jẹ́ àwọn bíi OBJ àtàwọn other people tó jẹ́ great politicians nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ṣé wọn mọ̀ ni.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, Mr. Shola. We'll take the last person for this batch, Mr. Festus. 30 seconds. Please unmute Mr. Festus.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, sir. 30 seconds.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. My question goes to Iba Gani Adams, local officer. My question goes thus. I want to ask that don't you think there's a need for a trust fund for our taking, a security trust fund? Then also, number two, is there proper training in the use of drones, in the use of modern
We couldn't hear him. We have lost him.
I will read the question over.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Festus. Finish up.
Is there proper training in use of drones? Is there proper training in use of drones and training them on how to use all the modern security gadgets so that we can be able to easily defeat this enemy at our doorsteps?
All right, thank you.
Number three, is there adequate welfare and remuneration for the Amotekun corps? Let our Ibagani Adams give us full details so that everybody is carried along on what the security situation is about. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. So a recap of the question. The first one from Agbaraja was the northern farmers. Please mute everybody. Mute everybody, sir. There's a feedback. Thank you. That the northern farmers are accessing more loans as against the southwestern farmers. They cannot access loans as much as the northern farmers. The second one was to Iba Gani Adams. Do foremost Yoruba leaders know the northern agenda and they are just keeping quiet? Do they really understand what the northern agenda is as much as those people in diaspora and those who are in YOV and other organizations know? So that's the second question. The third question from Mr. Festus is need for security fund for need of security trust fund for Amotekun. I guess he's thinking about to make them much more independent in their action. Use of medium. Do they have the use of medium technology like drones? And lastly, is there adequate welfare and remuneration for the Amotekun so that they can perform their jobs? So I think Iba should go first with the last question. Admin, please mute other people. Admin, please mute other people. Thank you, sir. Can you mute Mr. Shola and unmute Are?
The first question is going to the guest lecturer. The guest lecturer should respond to the first question. Moderator.
Okay. Guest lecturer, Dr. Adebowale. Access to loans in the north compared to the south by farmers. What is up with that?
Thank you very much.
As briefly as possible.
We have sufficient documents, empirical documents, very evidential, that the northern elements are getting loans. Some of them are not even paying back. They give them more and more for industrialization of agricultural activities in the north. And it will interest you that most of these things you see here, where they graze, they move into our farmlands, they don't do it in the north. They don't do it in the north. And they have a lot of, if you go back to the resources, to the amount of loans given to them, it's in the statistical office. In fact, the Southwest, we did not get 2.5 of it. Our farmers never got 2.5 of it because of what they always ask from them in terms of collateral. But in the north, nothing like that. They have a lot of money at their disposal, and that is they have this money, and that's why they bring so many things to the north. They go into their agricultural activities. Their lands that are basically deserts in nature. Go and see the dams. They are coming up with different dams. So the target is to destroy this place and then develop their environment. They are getting more money. And what was said by Agbaraja was very, 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 very clear. When they even go for negotiation, ask them, the Yoruba farmers there, are they conspicuous? No. But you see the Fulani farmers. Even the Hausa farmers are not even known. The Fulanis get money from the government, give to Hausas who are also under them. And they manage the resources and their government. They won't pay back and they will sit the government. It's a fact. It's happening. There are documents, empirical evidences abound.
Okay. Is Are ready for the last two questions, or should I recap? Them again? I think Are is not available. Doctor, can you make attendance?
I'm available, I just lost the network and I'm back now.
Oh, okay. You're welcome.
Let me just take it in a short way. The question reflected that the Yoruba leaders know about the Northern's agendas. I just in Sunny Yoruba. Àwọn àgbà wa mọ̀ wípé there is a Northern agendas. Nǹkan mẹ́ta ló ń da àwọn àgbà wa láàmú. Òṣèlú ò jẹ́ kí wọ́n gbádùn. Ìkejì ni pé ìbẹ̀rù. Ìkẹta ni pé wọ́n fẹ́ wá ọ̀rẹ́ tipátipá. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi wà nílẹ̀ Igbo. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi wà nílẹ̀ South South. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi wà nílẹ̀ North. Mi ò fẹ́ lose àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ mi. Ibi tí wọ́n ti jọ ń ṣọ̀rẹ́ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn ti jọ ṣe business papọ̀. So ó wà lára nǹkan tó ń ṣe wọn. Gbogbo àgbà Yorùbá ló mọ̀ pé wọ́n fi àjẹ wọn. Ẹ wo question tí wọ́n bèèrè lọ́wọ́ guest lecturer wípé gbogbo loans tó ń give lórí farming not ni guest lecturer sọ pé about 2.5% rí ló ń wá sí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, which is true. Apart from Ministry of Agriculture on Central Bank, wọ́n ti ní loan ẹ pé wọ́n fún àwọn èèyàn fún farming not ni wọ́n gbogbo owó yẹn lọ. Àwọn tí ò tẹ ẹ̀já àgbẹ̀ kan gba owó yẹn wọ́n ò dẹ̀ dá padà. And back of industry is another opportunity now to play by loan. Gbogbo loan tí ó wà ń bẹ̀ ní Bank of Industry àwọn Northerners ló ní wọ́n ní opportunity láti gba more than 85 to 90% of that loan. And tí ẹ bá wò pé àgbà Yorùbá ò lè onímọ̀ pé àwọn pípò ní agenda wípé tọ́wọ́ pé èyí tí Ahmadu Bello sọ pé tó ń bá mú ìdààmú láti north ọmọ wa ti bọ omi wa nínú sea wa níbà yẹn wọ́n dẹ̀ ṣe at the end of the day Victoria Land ní ẹ̀gbẹ́ omi wa Ahmadu Bello náà ni wọ́n lè mọ̀ nígbà táwọn Fúlàní tó wà ní Èkó tó fẹ́ ṣe 5 years anniversary of àwọn tó wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Federal Palace ní Èkó tó wà ní Ahmadu Bello Way ibẹ̀ náà ti ṣe láti fi hàn wá wípé nǹkan tí Ahmadu Bello sọ àwọn fìdí ẹ̀ múlẹ̀ and tí ẹ bá dẹ̀ wò lórí Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ẹ̀dùn èmi ò ṣe díje Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn àwọn just an ambassador of Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn and there is limit tí mo mọ̀ nípa way of the operation but mo kàn mọ̀ pé mo wà lára àwọn tó jà fún Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn tó fi fìdí múlẹ̀ mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé àwọn ẹgbẹ́ wa wà lára àwọn tó kó sínú Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn position mi di high pé kí n máa lọ tójú bọ nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ but notwithstanding the only advantage tí Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn fi wà ní pé we have an outfit tí kò tẹ̀ standard tẹ̀ tí high to 10% of state police but an outfit jẹ́ pé a lè lò tí ọlọ́pàá Nàìjíríà ò bá lọ wèlé àwọn criminals yìí àti ní outfit jẹ́ pé a lè fi wèlé wọn psychologically láti lè fi intimidate wọn ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ọ̀rọ̀ Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn dàbí pé ó sàn bí pé ká máa ní kankan rárá lọ torí most of the modern equipment àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn gan ò tí ì ní access lé lórí ẹ̀dẹ̀mọ̀ àwọn gómìnà wa gbogbo nǹkan ní òṣèlú bóyá ọdún yìí o sọdún tó ń bọ̀ wọ́n á increase budget Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn àwọn gómìnà míì gan oye tó jẹ́ budget Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn lọ́dún gan kò wọ 100 million pẹ̀lú salary àdẹ́bàdẹ̀ wo iye tó ń fún àwọn ọlọ́pàá ní police trust fund ní state wọn èmi wọ 500 million èmi Èkó ìtẹ̀ ń lọ bí almost 3-4-5 billion tó ń fún àwọn ọlọ́pàá but mo rí pé bí success Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ṣe ń high I believe that they will increase the budget by next year And talking of adequate measure, remuneration cup yẹn lọ́jọ́ iwájú Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn cups lọ́jọ́ iwájú òkú state kọ̀ọ̀kan àwọn ọlọ́mọ nǹkan tó yẹ káwọn ṣe irú wọ́n yẹn máa ensure life wọn bí wọ́n bá kú àbí health kìíní wọn individual prerogative for each state ni tẹ́lẹ̀ Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn supposed to be a regional cups but àwọn àgbà òṣèlú wa ní Nàìjíríà torí 2023 election àwọn ló fẹnu fọ́ pé kó má jẹ́ regional cups pé kó jẹ́ state cups pé each state kó lọ ní tiẹ̀ wọ́n dẹ̀ yẹ fẹnu fọ́ náà Èkó náà kò jẹ́ kéko ní Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn bá ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn have been legislated in Lagos State and the Lagos State governor have sent the signature on it but àwọn àgbà òṣèlú wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí jẹ́ kí Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ó dẹ̀ ń fún Èkó ní serious problem because tẹ́ bá wo àwọn àdúgbò kan lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sìn ẹ rí pé àwọn secret courts wọ́n ti dominate despite the fact wípé Lagos State ṣe òfin wípé nǹkan bá mú àṣì secret court ó ní oyè stipulated year tó máa lò ní prison but torí pé wọ́n fẹ́ satisfy north nípa àwọn Miyetti Allah wọn ò fẹ́ gbọ́ nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn torí Miyetti Allah mọ̀ pé àwọn làwọn fi iṣẹ́ darandaran fi dáràn lọ́dọ̀ wa wọ́n dẹ̀ pé Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn yẹn ò ní àlá wọn which at the end of the day within the period of 1 year or 1.5 years ó ti exist ó ti affect criminal operation so wọ́n bá àwọn olóṣèlú wa kan sọ̀rọ̀ pé kọ́ má jẹ́ kí Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ṣẹlẹ̀ ní state kan so but notwithstanding gbogbo nǹkan tí ẹni tó béèrè question béèrè yìí is supposed to be a question that will be answered by the DG of every state of Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn kí ni plans tán ní fún corps wọn iṣẹ́ Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn nìkan ló ń ṣiṣẹ́ yìí àwọn ọ̀nà tí a fi ń dọ́gbọ́n sí ọ̀rọ̀ security ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ó pọ̀ different groups ló wà lẹ́nu ẹ̀ even all you group tí mo dárúkọ pé Southwest security stakeholder àwọn ọlọ́dẹ míì kan wà tẹ́tẹ́ wọn tẹ̀ belong to Southwest security stakeholder tẹ́tẹ́ wọ́n gbìyànjú lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ẹ rí pé kí n tó travel lọ sí Europe ní about 3 or 4 weeks ago nígbà tá à ń ṣe Ọya festival wọn láti sọ fún àwọn Kwara state pé the existence of Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ó ti push àwọn bandits lọ sí Kwara àti Kogi nígbà tó wá fi cross sí Europe commissioner of police of Kwara ó reply ni ó ní irọ́ ni ó ní kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá dẹ̀ wò láàrin bíi 2 weeks ní kidnapping tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Kwara adifẹ́ tó 15 and àwọn Kogi state tẹ̀yìn manage wọn but the Kwara is a hell of criminal now when you get to especially Igbono yẹn oríṣiríṣi nǹkan burúkú ló ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ psychologically Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn just solve a problem of about 30 to 40% of our issue of insecurity. There is still a lot to be done. And that was one of the reasons that was okay. To move this country forward, we have 2 options. It's either kí àjókòó negotiate yẹ o pé kólúkálukú máa lọ àbí ká padà sí regionalism because gbogbo ọgbọ́n tí àwọn Fúlàní dá pé kí wọ́n máa manage Nàìjíríà kó mú fọ òun ni wàhálà ṣẹlẹ̀. Tẹ́ bá wá wo ọ̀dọ̀ wọn sìn ọ̀dọ̀ wọn worse times 100 yìí nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àbí southern area àwọn kan pariwo wọ́n ti form coalition sí wọ́n ti attack Buhari pé Buhari ti wá ba north jẹ́ débi pé most of the governor gan wọ́n bá lo ọjọ́ kan ní state house Abuja náà tó máa lo gbọ́jọ́ yòókù and gbogbo legislators tó wà ní north ń sìn wọn lọ́lé mọ́ Abuja náà ń gbé mi wàá lè sọ bí after election bá bọ̀ wọ́n padà lọ sílé láti lọ campaign that's the level of the insecurity in the north. About the whole Igbo sing, majority of the Igbo land is not even safe at all. South too. I want to only skirmishes of issue of insecurity, but our governor won't be suppress media. About the media bet with like Plateau, Niger State, Benue, and even part of Kogi. Àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wa ní Kogi ní okun ló save díẹ̀ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Ìkàlà ẹ̀ gan wọn ní sọ́sítà so ọlọ́kàn yìí bá wá ṣe tá a manage ẹ̀ ní but àìtí ṣètò because àṣírí wọn tó yẹ ká àṣírí lórí security yẹ kó ìlú báyìí lọ but ó depend lórí cooperation àwọn tó wà ní power àti àwọn ọba ìlú because púpọ̀ náà àwọn ọba wa gan náà wọ́n ń gbé màálù fún àwọn Fúlàní pé kan fi tọ́jọ́ ṣe business pẹ̀lú àwọn Fúlàní tẹ́ bá dé òkè òkun yẹn tẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀ Fúlàní expert láì dá àwọn ọba yẹn máa wò ó lẹ́ẹ̀mejì torí púpọ̀ nu wọn bá wọn jọ ṣe business ẹ bá dé even some part in Yoruba land tó bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé Fúlàní expert ló dá àwọn Fúlàní yẹn tó bá fẹ́ ṣe pati ní ààfin ọba wọ́n fún wọn ní màálù wọ́n dẹ̀ fún wọn lówó bọ̀dẹ̀ ẹnu wo gbá láti máa sọ síta torí traditional institution wa a gbọ́dọ̀ máa disseminate àbí a gbọ́dọ̀ máa sọ pọ̀tẹ́ pé ó lè bà traditional institution wa jẹ́ torí ọjọ́ iwájú wa because tá a bá decimate traditional institution wa ó máa affect wa torí ara ògbólẹ̀ Yorùbá ni so a kàn ń fi ọgbọ́n ṣe ní level tàwa but to solve the Nigerian problem Nigeria ò bá tẹ̀ ní tá a bá padà sí region kò sí bí Nigeria ti máa mú forward wọ́n bá wọn pé afẹ́ bọ́ lóko ẹrú a máa dọ́gbọ́n tá a máa fi bọ́ lóko ẹrú ni but oko ẹrú yẹn gan a máa bọ́ náà láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà torí ó dà pé Nàìjíríà ti súnkò gírí wọn ò ríbi tí wọ́n fẹ́ gbà pẹ̀lú bọ́n ṣe ń bà lọ yìí.
Thank you, Ààrẹ. Ejo, for the sake of time, we will not be able to take any more questions after this first speaker. We're moving to the second speaker. If we have some time left, please pack your questions for now, and then I am calling on the second speaker to talk to us on the effect of banditry on women and children in Yoruba land. Our second speaker is the leader and coordinator of YOB Women Win. She's an active personality within the Yoruba community, locally and internationally, a founding member of the Yoruba in Minnesota, United States. She's an owner of a master's in business administration, HR, a mother, a grandmother, and an educationist. I call on Chief Mrs. Toyin Adewole. Chief Mrs. Adewole, the floor is yours. We have about 10 minutes to go through with your lecture.
Good day, Bagani Adams, for your exceptional leadership. And good day, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for this warm welcome. On behalf of Are and everybody that are present today, I welcome all of you to this program. Before I proceed in my address, please join me for a moment of silence in the honor of all heroes, family and friends who have lost their life in the battle for Yoruba land and better Nigerians. Thank you. May their departed soul continue to rest in perfect peace. Thank you again. Kidnapping for reason, cattle roasting, and terrorism-like violence, raping, and all are all lumped together and called banditry. Women, girls, and children are the worst hit by bandits. Our women, girls, and children are the worst hit by bandits. Our women, children are being raped. They have nightmares. Our people are living in fear. These activities have led to more widespread poverty, insecurity, fear, and trauma in Nigeria. Our coming together today reinforces that Nigeria is in crisis, and we can come together in unity to resolve this. First, we women bear brunt of any destruction of the so-called family unit. Our women and girls are impacted frequently. They are subject to rape and violence. When a farmer is killed, it impacted so many people in that family because that farmer is the sole winner of that family, and the triple effect is huge and goes down all the beneficiary. Sad indeed. Also, we have been displaced. We cannot go to our farms anymore. Children are the most helpless to any trauma involving the household unit. As a result of the Fulani invasion of the farm, where the men have been killed, our women become instant widows. We must not let this continue. We are struggling to make ends meet. There have been reported cases of rape by the invaders, thus causing fear and trauma in affected communities. Our women and children are being raped all the time. They are living with fear and trauma. Our governments cannot do anything about this. They cannot provide the necessary security to protect the people. Terrorist activities, unemployment, inflation, raping are all possible. We need to improve security for our farmers. Under Buhari, security responses have been very slow to no responses at all. We continue to live in a rapidly changing environment. Our women back home take challenges in their daily lives. There needs to be consequences for all these behaviors. Arrest people with illegal firearm and prosecute them. I will bring my address into conclusion by appreciating our leaders, Iba Gani Adams, and all the people who put this program together. We thank God for making this day possible. To all our donors, we thank you. As a mother, I think we are in a better position to drive the process of peace and actions where necessary. I'm asking for the participation of all God-fearing Yoruba people, especially our women. I need you all to accomplish our goals. I look forward to working with everyone to accomplish our goals. I'm asking for your support and participation. We must all come together and make our voices heard. Women are very powerful and influential in any decision making. We can make difference when we work together. What we do today, we prepare ourselves for tomorrow. Yoruba Nation now is the answer. We must not relent our efforts and commitment. The ability to get this done lies in all of us to continue to work together. God bless you all. Thank you for the time.
Eshegoma, thank you so much for that wonderful speech. Eloquently put and short to be short and sweet to the answer. Eshegoma. Your first speaker, sir, our guest lecturer, if you can put your email address on the chat box, it will be well appreciated. And when you're fair, contact me if you want to be able to reach you. We appreciate that. Please put your email on the chat box. We can take a couple of more questions. As long as we can make them very short, we are seriously out of line with time, and we want to respect people's time and their activities for them. So I'm going to call on the first person, Mr. Jerry Benga, the second person, Shola, and the last person, Mori. Please, if you can unmute Jerry Benga to ask this question. Jerry Finger.
Yes, I'm asking him to unmute himself. He's not responding. So.
Okay, we'll move to the next person.
Oh yeah, it's on.
No, I should show me, sir. 30 seconds.
Madam, thank you, everybody, and good evening. My question is this. It was actually meant for the first speaker, but at the same time, we thank you for your contribution. How do we educate our people more on this issue of banditry? It should be a situation of educating each family. How can you assist, or how can the forum assist to educate people on the issue of banditry, to educate them, enlighten them on how to tackle, how to educate them on how to identify a situation, avoid a situation, and live in peace.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yeshola, please don't mute.
Where is she?
Good evening, how are you?
Please mute Mr. Jerry. Mr. Jerry Finger. Okay, you know what? If you can't find her, let's do Olori Morimi first, and then why you take the time. See Olori Morimi? Yeah. Olori Morimi, go ahead. 30 seconds.
I just want to make clarity on the issue of the money given to the farmers by the Buhari government. Question, Missy, and what there was a person that asked question earlier who was talking about the involved now policies for him. Is there a way we can also make sure to differentiate the kind of money given to the southern farmers and the northern farmers? Because the money that the northern farmers are getting is called grants. And the money that the southern farmers are getting is called loans. And there's a huge difference between the two. So what the northern farmers are getting is grant, meaning free money that is not going to be paid back ever. But for the southern farmers, they are getting loans. And these loans are at a high digit interest rate, meaning that they cannot even afford it. It's not easily accessible. And even with that, we have cattle herders coming into the farms to eat all this food produce, which is leading to high food insecurity in the southern part of Nigeria, causing hunger, starvation, destroying Yoruba economy, and so forth and so on. Is there something we can do to make sure that with security, this can be stemmed to reduce the cost of living and also cost of food for our people? Because so many people are extreme poverty right now. They are dying in droves. People are jumping into bridges on the third mainland bridge. What can we do to make it better?
Is Yeshola available now? Okay. In the absence of that, let's unmute the guest speaker to respond to these following questions. The first one is, how do we educate people and delivering people back home to identify when there's trouble, to be able to label it and then avoid it or secure themselves? First question. Then the second question is, what can be done to make things better, I guess, in terms of security again, so that people can have security on their farmland, they can cultivate their farm. It ties to the same thing we've been talking about all the while, but if more light can be shared on it. Mr. Guest Speaker.
Guest Speaker, okay, good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Really, questions have been raised, and you will discover that I raised parts of these issues when I delivered my paper. Look, the only way is to get our people educated. It is education that can solve the problems. And then if you also see the number of people who are engaged at the level of Amoteco, not enough. It is the duty of our communities to have their own internal security structures, like the local vigilantes. So those ones can send signals that these people have arrived. Those we have children, like for instance, let me give you one very typical example by my PhD students who is working on Shagamu, doing a comparative study of insecurity in Shagamu and Ikorodu, looking at Onyabo and other places. What they have simply done is simple. They recruited members of the community, their own children, and they are paying them salaries. Their own is to alert and then protect. But fine, they still have problems. They still have problems with the state government, but they are hiding under major security network like OPC to alert. And these are the kind of things you can do for now. These are the kind of things we can do for now. But what I'm also saying is that Mafuku Midano Ojoko Lanko. Mafuku Midano Ojoko Lanko. People must also not just be educated, they must be educated in the act of self-defense and use of their own traditional weaponry. They must use those things. Oda bento boni. Tibo obami. To wani king pele musheshi. Iru jechi woni. Ko no do kan yin tenu pada now. So what we are saying, what I'm trying to say in essence is that we must educate our people. We must also engage individual communities to also engage the services of their youth who monitors movements and they are also remunerated. Those are the ways we can do for now. And our people must also be ready within the limit of resources available to them. Self-defense is acceptable in the laws. It's acceptable in laws when there are evidences. But we should just do within the limit of the law for now.
I'm going to call the last three set of questions before we move to other items so that we can round up. Barui, number one, you can unmute Barui. Second person will be Shiji. The last person will be Tuarache.
Okay, Google actually Gani Adams. Barui, Femi, Shokin Kele Minja. Ìbéèrè mi ni pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá àti gbọ́ nítàn ipa tí Ògùn táwọn bàbá wa ní ipa tó ń kó nínú ayé ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Tó níbi tá a dé lọ́jọ́ tòní yìí ṣé kò sóògùn mọ́ ni? Tóògùn bá dẹ̀ wà kí ni nǹkan tá a lè rí fi ṣe nínú ìjà tó wà lẹ́yìn? Ẹ ṣeun.
Thank you, sir. Unmute Shiji.
Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. My question briefly is about this issue of banditry at the headsmen. In the last statement, Iba Gani Adams mentioned that some of our traditional leaders are in one way or the other involving in one things that woman phony which means definitely we might have an issue traditional leaders were bounting because indirectly at Betele Noni. And how can we solve the problem of banditry and headsmen when our traditional leaders are in one way or the other involved in this kind of act? That's my question. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Tuarache, or mute Tuarache, that will be our last question for today. Tuarache, sorry for that.
Okay, that's okay.
I thank everybody, and I thank the first speaker, the lecturer who gave us the lecture earlier stage. My question goes like this. We all talk about the problems, about what is happening in Nigeria, even with the part of some of our people living in diaspora. But we all know the way Are has been working and has been doing everything possible so that we can be able to get the solutions to things. My question is, how can we be able to tackle the internal problems that we have in Yoruba land within ourselves? Because if we cannot be able to find a solution to that, how can we be able to move on? Because most of our problems in Yoruba land today is that there's always a problem whereby some people are trying to make it to work, other people are trying to. So, our lecturer, can we please tell us if you know, is there any solution, is there any way we can be able to tackle that kind of internal problem that we have? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Can you please mute every other participant and put on the guest speaker? The first question is that how do we move forward if our kings are complicit in this situation? Another question is, what is the role? I guess that would be for the role of our traditional medicine in combating this malaise. I think there's so much talk that has been put in that regard. We need some more guidance. And then, how do we tackle the internal problems of Yoruba amongst the Yorubas, whether locally or in diaspora? Guest speaker, if you can be as short as possible because of the timing, so that we can move. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, moderator. Thank you so much. You see, the culpability of our leaders, of our traditional leaders, very apparent. But Omo Yoruba ni wa, only little tali she, but they are culpable. But can you be tsunami? By the time we begin to resist, individual community will also rise against these people on their own. We don't need Agbodo Bansu again, Agbodo Sokwe, Uluri, Ilukom Baluje, Atemoko Bani, Kamada Rukwe, Kamapelule, Kamapeniba, which is from Yoruba. Because so we can't do both. By the time we continue our own agitation, and we also invite the same leader to come and address us on how we can be safe. It will be done on him that time. Only and to ban jade nu leju ona fi so obe ma fi seran teran ba di wani ai wo so won ni wa jino so a le ma pe won loruko a le ma bu won a le omo Yoruba ni wa ai se be e wo te ba wo e to fun won ti ka example. If you see Britain and you look at the monarchy, nko to wo si ju láyé to da be outfits. Where Britain, the British man who condemned them. Very conservative, and that's where we have also to be conservative about traditional institutions. Like no matter what happens, no matter you dare not say it outside. You dare not say it outside. The only thing you can do is if you have his email, send the mail to him. If there are reasons to be shown now, and if there is no reason, or so we have our leaders and they have their problems. There are strategic issues that they discuss. Some people will discuss whether they are using drones. Will you say they are using drones now? But you still tell me. I want you to go and discuss about but how do we tackle internal differences? one of the greatest problems Danny, is how to look and resolve our own internal contradictions. We have serious internal contradictions, and one of the internal contradictions is that we don't even know where to use who and how to use who. According to and to the console on behalf of Yoruba Maso. Emma will be intervention, or into Maso, dance of Pochiwa, into Maso, could have been Tonchewa, Como, knowledge about what Tonchewa, Polo, Akoma Paduinoni. We have so many internal contradictions. One political leaders as well. They are also part of the problems. But was so annoyed with some of our politicians. He was so annoyed with some of our politicians, and I was shocked, and I called him. I said, "Did you listen to Logofe?" Only yes, only Togo. You see, Baba Binto, but Igbi oni oto nu karaun. Síbẹ̀ tí ó ṣe bínú tó ń bínú pa àwọn politicians wọ́n ń ṣe kínní wọ́n jẹ́ káwọn ní ẹ̀dùn ìbò tó sọ̀rọ̀ tán wọ́n dárúkọ yàn wọ́n dẹ̀ bu wọn ó ṣó pé inú ó ń dùn mí jẹ́ ìṣe ń dùn mí ó mì pé àwọn politicians yẹn they can also get back to him tomorrow pé mo gbọ́n tó sọ ṣáàdárúkọ wọn yá bára ṣe máa sọ̀fẹ̀ mo má bàa ti ń bu wọn tó ń dárúkọ wọn. We understand that we have our internal contradictions, but díẹ̀ ni ariwo máa pọ̀ ní ẹlẹ́dẹ̀ àkúkú tó yọ kò jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ sá.
Thank you, sir. I share for that, please. I don't know if Are wants to speak about the role of traditional medicine in the fight for and the security of the dollar.
Guest mentioned that before working in where we know about the country Sunday.
Okay, sir.
Needed to be any more lecture. Teacher, many school. On lecture Yoruba wa bó ṣe kó máa yí wọn lọ so báàrò mi tó ń béèrè pé ṣé kò sóògùn mọ́ ni ọmọ Ẹ̀gbá náà ò rán ṣóògùn wà lè tán Ẹ̀gbá ní Ẹ̀gbá tó ti wá gan-an ṣóògùn wà lè tán bẹ́ẹ̀ àbí Ìjẹ̀bú ni ò sóògùn mọ́ àbí ìlú Èkó ìkan ni ò sóògùn mọ́ ògùn wa ẹni tó bá lóògùn ni máa pariwo fún òun lóògùn. Tẹ bá ti rí ẹni tó bá ní mo lóògùn mọ́ ní kinní kan kò lóògùn báyìí. Ẹni tí ó bá lóògùn láti ayé ìwáṣẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ni.
Mo ti gbọ́.
Ẹni tó bá ní òògùn láti ayé ìwáṣẹ̀, àwọn àgbààgbà tó bá lóògùn wọn ara jókòó síwájú ilé wọn jẹ́ẹ́jẹ́. Tó bá kọjá lọ, á kàn máa wù ẹ́ báyìí. Àwọn tí ò lóògùn ni wàá máa rí tá máa fẹ̀gbẹ̀ káàkiri ládùúgbò wàá dàrú kí nìkan kò lóògùn. Ṣé ẹni tó bá lóògùn kì í pariwo? Alágbára kì í pariwo nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, àgbọ̀ òfìfo ló máa ń pariwo. Ògùn wa o, àwọn ògùn kéékèèké oríṣiríṣi ni ògùn oríṣiríṣi ni ògùn tó wà o. Ògùn jagunjagun wà, ògùn àwúre wà, ògùn tí ẹ̀yàn fi ń tẹ̀lú tó wà. Oríṣiríṣi ògùn ló wà ní iṣẹ́ olóògùn pọ̀tẹ́ níwọ̀nba. Ìgbà tí mo ti wà struggling mo ti rí oríṣiríṣi tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé ká rúbọ pààyàn Yorùbá ló mọ̀ ọ́n ṣe jù tó bá yẹ pé kán rúbọ túyàn dá Yorùbá ló mọ̀ ọ́n ṣe jù torí ògùn tẹ́yìn wò yẹn o àbúrò ni o ẹbọ lẹ̀gbọ́n ògùn làbúrò ògùn tí wàá lágbára tó ètùtù pé ká ṣe ètùtù Yorùbá ló dẹ̀ mọ̀ ń pa ẹ̀ jùlọ but the problem ta ni pé bá ṣe lágbára tó nílẹ̀ Yorùbá bí àwọn kan ṣe ń fà á sókè pé a fẹ́ bọ́ làwọn kan fà á sílẹ̀ pé ẹ̀ní bọ́ orí ìjẹkújẹ. Àwọn tó dẹ̀ ń fà á sílẹ̀ pé ẹ̀ní bọ́ yẹn àwọn náà lágbára wọ́n mètùtù wọ́n mú oògùn wọ́n láàfáà lọ́wọ́ wọ́n ní wòlíì lọ́wọ́ wọ́n tẹ̀ tí rówó ṣe ju ẹni tó rẹ́ pé ká bọ́ lóko ẹrú lọ. So ibi tí ọ̀rọ̀ wa wọ́ sí yẹn kì í ṣe pé agbára ò sí. Ṣẹ́dá àwọn tó fẹ́ kọ́ bọ́ lóko ẹrú bọ́ tó fẹ́ ká bọ́ lóko ẹrú wọn lówó wọ́n dẹ̀ lágbára. Owó láti fi máa ń wá agbára gbà mí tí bàbá kan bá ní agbára kan kò wá sọ wípé bàbá nǹkan tẹ ní lọ́wọ́ ìtẹ́jogún báyìí máa fún yín ní 500,000 fún mi àgbékalẹ̀ torí gbogbo wọ́n bá ṣáà gbogbo nílé bàbá yẹn kò ní 20,000 lọ́wọ́ àgbékalẹ̀ owó náà ti fi ń ṣògùn so question tí bàrú yìí sọ yẹn Ògùn wa o gbẹ́rù Canada ló ṣì wà tó bá padà sí Ẹ̀gbá màá sọ àwọn bíi mẹ́rin kan fún tó máa lọ sí Ẹ̀gbá tá a sọ wípé wọ́n á fi Ògùn pé Ògùn wà but ogun jagunjagun nǹkan tó ń try láti sí bàrú yìí try láti sọ ni pé báwo lọ ṣe mú àwọn jagunjagun wa báyìí jẹ́ pé wọ́n mú wọn dì bí ẹran àmúso wọ́n ní tí kú ilé ò bá pa ni òde ò lè pa ni kán tó mú olórí ogun ilé àwọn àgbààgbà ìlú nínú ilé wọ́n ti gbàbọ̀dè tí wọ́n bá gbàbọ̀dè wọn ò lè mú olórí ogun ilé a good example lórí nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí àbúrò wa Sunday Igboho àwọn àgbààgbà olóṣèlú kan ló gba àbọ̀dè fún kó tó di pé wọ́n á àtàkì ilé ẹ̀ and wípé ìwọ̀n bó ṣe wà yẹn ìmí kan fẹnu sọ̀rọ̀ ni kò dénú ẹ̀ àwọn kan náà ló gbá àbọ̀dè ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n ní ẹṣin kì í dá ni mọ́lẹ̀ ká má sọ and tẹ́bàdẹ̀ wo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tí ẹnu wa bá lè kù fún 60% kò sí ìran tó lè kojú wa o kò dẹ̀ sí ogun kan tó jalẹ̀ Yorùbá àpapọ̀ Yorùbá ò tí parapọ̀ jagun rí gbogbo nígbà tá a máa gba Ìlọrin lọ́wọ́ wa àwọn Yorùbá tó wà ní Ìgbóònà gan wọn support Ìlọrin so tí Fúlàní bá lóun defeat Àfọ̀njá àbóun defeat Yorùbá ní 1824 kì í ṣe gbogbo Yorùbá náà bá jà àwọn ọmọ ogun Àfọ̀njá tí àwọn Ọ̀yọ́ empire ò support kò náà defeat kì í ṣe Yorùbá tí ẹ bá dẹ̀ wo ẹ bá wo history Ẹ̀gbá bí Ẹ̀gbá ṣe kéré tó nílẹ̀ Yorùbá yẹn àwọn ìlú tí Ẹ̀gbá bá jà láàrin ìgbà tó ti dé ní 18th century àwọn ìlú tó bá jà á fẹ́ tó more than 30 ó dẹ̀ pé they always been victorious even the Ọ̀yọ́ empire nígbà tó wọ́n fẹ́ invade Ẹ̀gbá ìsọ̀sí ìtún ọ̀rí wọn invade dílẹ̀dílẹ̀ so ẹ bá dẹ̀ wo sí àwọn ìlú kọ̀ọ̀kan ẹ wo Ìbàdàn ẹ wo àwọn ogun tó ń jà ẹ wo Èkìtì parapọ̀ even our own extreme end of the northern area the Nupe invasion àwọn Nupe invade ọ̀dọ̀ wa gan still náà wọn rí wa capture so wọ́n máa sọ pé kò sí oògùn wà but kò wá àwọn èèyàn kan bí ara sí mọ́ nítorí pé ẹ̀sìn ti wọlé Yorùbá ẹ̀sìn fanatism gbogbo nǹkan agbára tí Yorùbá ní wọ́n ti sọ nù nítorí pé ẹ̀sìn ti wọlé ẹ̀sìn dá agbára wà ní ẹ̀sìn wọn nǹkan tó bá jẹ́ nǹkan ṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ èèyàn òun lèèyàn máa fi ń gba rẹ̀ lóko ẹrú nínú lóòótọ́ mi ò ṣe oníṣègùn mi ò dẹ̀ ṣe babaláwo ṣùgbọ́n o nínú experience mi inú ilé mi tó mọ̀ wáyé owó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ìgbà lè san sóògùn máa ń tó lẹ́pẹ́ oríṣiríṣi nǹkan la ní lọ́wọ́ èmi oríṣiríṣi ló wà lọ́wọ́ àwọn security mi tẹ̀lé yẹn dẹ́ pé àgbàdá bá ní kọ́ lò náà máa lò tó dẹ̀ pé rí ọmọdé ló jẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ wọn nǹkan míì wà dẹ́ pé wọn ò ní fi ju 20 naira 50 naira fi ṣe dẹ́ pé kì í ṣe nǹkan tó náà lówó ogun jagunjagun òun wọn lọ títí àbí táyà bá fẹ́ ṣe ìgbàdí tó fi ń dára ònìkan ló máa ń so ogun àwúre òun ló máa ń wọ́n nígbà míì oríṣiríṣi ogun sì wà but ó depends lórí ẹni tó bá lọ polongo ara ẹ̀ tí bá wà ní public nsìn ó mọ nǹkan tó wà lára mi mo lè máa kọrin ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì mo lè máa fa àyà ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì mo mọ nǹkan tó wà lára mi ó mọ nǹkan tí mo dì mọ́ra ó mọ nǹkan tí mo ti jẹ síkùn ẹ ṣe gbogbo oògùn náà máa ń fojú rí àwọn oògùn míì tí o ti jẹ sára ó ti wà nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ gbẹgbẹ ọgbọn ó ti gbàgbé pé o jẹ ọjọ́ tí ìṣòro bá dé ni wàá mọ̀ pé oògùn yẹn wúlò so gbogbo yẹn láti pass through but ẹni tó bá ní oògùn ẹni tó bá àgbà tó bá ní oògùn kì í lérí ọmọdé tí ò bá ní oògùn tó máa fi mo ní nǹkan báyìí mo ní nǹkan báyìí mo ní nǹkan báyìí àwọn àgbà ní ẹjẹ àdánwò ìpónà olóògùn ẹjẹ àdánwò òun ló fi máa ń dàbí pé ọmọdé tó bá lérí oògùn wọ́n máa ń fi ìṣòro wọ́n máa ń gbé sínú ayé ẹ̀ so oògùn wa ó depends lórí bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n bá ṣe rìn sí.
Thank you very much, sir. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ arọ anybody tó bá tún ní ìbéèrè tí wọ́n bá wà fi sí chat box and our guest speaker wa lè láti bóyá tí time bá wà at the end of the discussion. Just as a round of that. We'll go to the next item, which is the recap of Wine 2021 roadmap by Mr. Nebo, I think.
ń gbọ́ mi báyìí?
Can hear you very well, sir.
Okay. Ní mo kí yín ológun ọ̀fẹ́, Mr. Guest Speaker, yẹyẹ ìyáàfin Alówónlé, ẹ ṣé gan ọ, ẹ kú iṣẹ́ o, gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ̀lé wá tẹ́wá gbọ́ wa náà, ẹ ṣé. Ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ọdún yìí, àwọn nǹkan tí YOB ta gbé ta kó nípa láti ṣe nínú ọdún yìí. Ní ògo Ọlọ́run, gbogbo ẹ̀ pátápátá Ọlọ́run bá wa ṣe pé a ṣe irú àwọn tẹ bá rí àwọn nǹkan tó wà lórí street yìí a dẹ̀ gé wọn sí ìpele meaning wípé quarterly àwọn programs tá à ń ṣe ní inú YOB so nínú àwọn náà nìyí gbogbo ẹ̀ nìyí so irú eléyìí event tá à ń ṣe léyìí sí òun ni eléyìí March November International Press Conference ẹ lè rí pé November nínú port over within the last quarter around Kotamashi. Right now fundraising is going on, publicity, media, and so October 1st, rally Tashi, YOV first 1 year anniversary press conference Tashi, National Press Club in Washington DC. I think we're going to June 12th, we're going to go in. I want to touch it here. My one fair show, I want. I put the video together fún àwọn kìíní yìí àwọn iṣẹ́ tí a ti ṣe nínú ẹgbẹ́ ní ọdún yìí ẹ máa bá wa kà lọ nínú fídíò náà. A new day is dawning in Nigeria, most especially in Yoruba land. The climate is strong. The climate is because it's big, and it's yeah, it's coming.
Share screen. Share.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. WhatsApp screen.
Okay. Mori. Oh, wait a minute. Much stop right now. Okay, 1 second.
A new day is dawning in Nigeria, most especially in Yoruba land. The climate is strong. The climate goes from state to state and from the grandest state of Oyo to the astonishing state of Nigeria, land of virtue. A new day is dawning in Nigeria, most especially in Yoruba land. The climate the children choose to speak and
yes, we can see the screen. We can start from here.
Okay, now I started all over.
Okay.
And from the brownest state of Oyo to the sunshine state of Ondo, land of virtue in Oshu, the land of harmony, Kwara, to the conference state, Kogi, through the gateway state, Ogun, to the Ekiti state, land of honor and integrity, up to the center of excellence, Lagos state. The clarion call can be heard as Yoruba voice worldwide demands for an independent statehood of Yoruba nation.
Yoruba One Voice is a coalition of about 63 organizations, and it's a group that brought various social-cultural groups in diaspora together to champion the cause of the Yoruba people and to champion the welfare of the Yoruba people, to deliver the Yoruba people from the shackle of oppressors on the basis of liberation and emancipation of the Yoruba people.
Yoruba One Voice is a humanitarian and charity organization that will take Yoruba out of torture.
It was formed to showcase our cultural values, to showcase our heritage, to showcase our identity, and to bring us back to our grassroots. It was formed to defend our people back home from the killings, from the kidnappings, from the disguised headsmen, and from the suffering in Yoruba land. Yoruba was one representative of Yoruba people, comprising of the human and community fields, intelligentsia, profession, business owners, working class, and students, residing both in Nigeria and diaspora. Who are the initiators? The Yoruba nation inhabits the western area of Nigeria, Oyo, Ondo, Kwara, Kogi, Osun, Ogun, Ekiti, and Lagos State. The Yoruba people constitute around 35 million people in Africa and have a strong presence in Western African countries like Benin Republic, Togo, as well as in North American countries like Brazil, Cuba, Jamaica, to mention a few. But the vast majority of the Yoruba population is from Nigeria itself. One of the countries in this country where we need our human, we have rights to solve for our new nation, the Yoruba nation. And we are doing it peacefully. We are not hooligans, so we know our rights. We are trying our best to engage ourselves with international and foreign bodies like the United Nations, the United States, the European Union, and all the Commonwealth offices in the whole world. By doing this, we believe we will achieve our aims and objectives. We will achieve our goals. The Yoruba nation is the lasting solution to all these problems in Nigeria. What we are doing, we are working to sensitize our people to work on the basis of advocacy and awareness. After that stage, we go to the second stage. Our roadmap to attain the nation in a proper way and international. You have heard it all. The vision is to promote Yoruba core values, unity, and collaborative efforts towards a prosperous and technologically advanced society in Yoruba land. While the aims are to establish a Yoruba nation where there is no discrimination in any shape, including the elimination of all threats to life, livelihood, property, citizenship, residence, justice, ensure that all citizens, residents, and visitors are treated fairly, equally, justly, and humanely. Every other aspect is born and employment and Australia systems. And we being the nearest level of strength in Nigeria. So that's the one that we dedicated, born, and deliver this letter on behalf of the family of Christ. To use it so that this letter can go to Australia to president. Hello? Bro. Yeah, Mongolian. No, no. It's just about 2 minutes. Will it cut it off for 2 minutes? 2 minutes max. All right. Okay. All right.
one nation, one fight, nation, one fight, one fight, one fight, nation, one voice, one voice. Iléyá ọmọ Odùduwà, Iléyá, bóyá, Iléyá, Iléyá, Odùduwà, Iléyá, Odùduwà, akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ló fẹ́. Ẹ káàsán o, ó gbọ́dọ̀ lórí ìgbà. Ìdílé àwọn wọlé tí ò ní wọ́n lọ́wọ́. Mo ti fẹ́ fún ọgbẹ́gbẹ́ wa lókè. Ọlọ́run tẹ́tẹ́ mi lé sílẹ̀ rẹ̀. Wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ àdúrà. Wọ́n ní kò gbọ́dọ̀ tó sílé. Àìsàn ìlú kókó má pọ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ti máa pọ̀ lọ́pọ̀ ẹlẹ́gbẹ̀rún ọlọ́run tó lára ìjọba. Ọmọ tí a ti ń gbé ìbò náà wọ̀ ní ìjẹ́bí bíi tiwa. Nítorí pé máa ń sọ ọ́ nígbà tó gbé àwọn àgbà wà nínú ìdìbò náà nígbà àkúrà. Òun kò tó 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 máa ń pé ẹ̀rì rẹ̀ ń pẹ́. Ó máa tó owó rẹ̀ bí kíbi tí ó bá ìdúkú. Ìwọ́n ọmọ Yorùbá.
Yoruba nationalities resident in various provinces of Canada. The bring to you sites and sounds of the rally held in Yoruba and Canada.
The Senate population and the Senate population in every part of the land. So, all the time, we want out. Period.
October 1st, 2020, marks the first gathering of all Yoruba people coming to clamor for secession from the country Nigeria. The agitation is born out of the fact that the state that have experienced unfair injustice and oppression in the concoction called Nigeria. The rally was held at the London Square downtown Toronto under the auspices of the Yoruba Movement.
My name is Prince Adoremi Lalika. We Yoruba have spoken in one voice that we are exiting from the country called Nigeria. But right now, Fulani are ruling Nigeria in the wrong way. And they've already put Nigeria nation to the brain. Yoruba nation is an accusation that is the particular tribe in the country to all the Fulani and not it is not love. It means love of civilization and development. That is the reason for this conversation. And not in Nigeria. No one responds Nigeria. We want to be one nation. We need to go. We are getting all Yoruba people to come together and let us fight our rights. Oh, you are nation.
COVID-19 pandemic led their work skills to join in the agitation. They expressed their disappointment in the running and management of Nigeria. To some, the invasion of the Fulani ethnic and wanton killings and kidnapping on the riots in the southwest was their basis or demand for overall republic. The rally had in attendance elders and seniors who expressed their fears and saw the hope of redemption for the future of the children.
company is owned by them. All that you can do is government goals, the right nation, our language, culture, history, and all that being taught to our children. While our purpose is to promote the use of the medium of time. We, the University of Students, and the students of institutions, government, authorities, and institutions, need to bring the same to share the progress, development of the following this letter, demand together. Issue the company of the right policy for the computer. Use the university demand for the company of the right policy. The policy is the random and planning for the process of policy. So, recently, the nature of the organization to actually find the minister for to illustrate the organization that we need to show that neighbors are following relevant information. We would like to thank you for taking all the time for holding this meeting. And as our demand for the president of the year, God bless you guys. Thank you, everybody, for questioning us. Thank you, General.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for that, Papaji. That was very great. A quick recap of what we have done in 2021. Quite appreciate that. We're going to move quickly now to Professor Rahim to issue the communique after our deliberations today. Please unmute Professor Rahim.
Professor Rahim will receive.
After the communique, we employ a regular candidate to prepare for the vote of thanks.
Okay, Professor Rahim. 1 second.
I think I see Kolawale Rahim.
Yes, yes, that's him. Yeah, I see. Okay. Prof.
Amos.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Just a minute, please. Yes. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo yín o. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́.
We have lost you, Professor Ryan.
Oh, I don't know how come.
Hello, Professor Ryan. We've lost you again. You are cutting in and out.
Prof, meet Ryan. Okay.
Kan tí a fẹ́ ṣe. Communicate náà ń pè ní èdè òyìnbó, èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì. So, ẹ jẹ́ kí n kọ́kọ́ ka lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì. A fi Yorùbá yí mọ́ bí ìbá ṣe sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan.
I think he's having an issue with his network.
Yeah. Communicate at the end in Yoruba. November 18, 2021. All over the world, ni our members here. The title of the on farming.
Professor Rahim, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
We are not able to hear you very well. You are cutting in and out. I think it must be your network. Since you are on the move.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay.
If it's gonna stay like that.
Okay, all right. The Yoruba One Voice, YOV, is a body of Yoruba professionals all over the world with a mandate to protect the name and project the image of the Yoruba worldwide. That we speak for the more than 60 million Yoruba in Nigeria and millions abroad. And because of our numbers, which is over 60 million, we plainly demand that nobody should be oppressed or imprisoned because she is fighting for his or her people to be free from induced poverty, hunger, political inferiority, and environmental destruction. So, we strongly demand that Sunday Igboho must be unconditionally released by the government of the Benin Republic, and Nnamdi Kanu should be without delay set free by the Nigerian government. It is regrettable that farmers in Yoruba land are leaving their farms in droves due to no fault of theirs, but because of coordinated, drastic, maximum, and ruinous attacks by bandits, terrorists. Despite the challenges faced by our farmers, such as lack of access to credit to boost their work, poor land tenure system, low level of irrigation farming, climate change and land degradation, poor road networks, poor storage system, low use of mechanization and others, they are still following the God-given mandate of providing food for the citizenry. But the various attacks by these bandits, the so-called terrorists, have further complicated the food chain crisis in the land because it is when farmlands are safe that farmers will be willing to farm. 5. It is also regrettable that the federal government statutorily mandated to ensure the protection of lives and property as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended seems culpable in various attacks, kidnappings, and even killings of farmers in Yoruba land. We have been told many times by the government officials that these bandits are from neighboring countries and they have the right to enter any country they feel like. We were even told that they have the right to carry AK-47 rifles to defend themselves. We therefore reject the narrative of farmers-herders clash by government officials because these foreign invaders, in collaboration with insiders, are guilty of acts of aggression. This is because our land is sacred. For centuries, Yoruba farmers and hunters have historical, physical, and spiritual attachment to their land. And invasion by bandits, terrorists, is an attempt to kill them and dispossess them of their God-given land. Bandits, terrorists are foreigners brought in to give bite to the attempt to colonize other parts of the country in order to realize the Fulani agenda, and they are being assisted by internal collaborators. A few years ago, former Defense Minister, Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma, retired, reiterated this belief openly, and the government has not, even today, said or done anything to prove him wrong. We reiterate that the Fulani-led federal government, through its body language, cannot exonerate itself from the invasion of Yoruba farmlands by these bandits, terrorists, because they are so audacious in their activities and not one of them has been arraigned before a law court. Since the coming together of our progenitors, the Yoruba have continued to enjoy the camaraderie of oneness, unity, and closeness. No external force or forces have ever conquered the Yoruba. It will not happen now. That is the communique that has emerged from this conference. Okay, Gbogbole, ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
Ẹ ṣé gan, Professor Ryan, àti pẹ̀lú wọ̀nyí fún the issuance of the communique. Thank you so much, sir. We'll now move on to vote of thanks by Erelu Abike Ade, the Director of Programs, YOB.
Moderator, please. You ask for people to adopt it before vote of thanks. Adoption.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
for the reminder. We call for adoption of the communique by members. I know many people are muted, but you can type. Okay, Otumba Kemi Agbeke, hand is up.
Yes, by show of hands.
By show of hands, thank you, Otumba Agbeke. And Olori Morimi has also adopted the communique. Thank you very much. I think 2 is all we need, right? Okay, and we have another person, Captain Jenny Okiyu Japan.